What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today's video is going to be the start of something that I've been working on for a while. A project for a what if that's pretty much going to change the entire story. And the craziest part is, the change isn't anything too drastic. Well, at least at first. It's something that could have realistically happened, but this one small change would have changed the entire story. So what's going to cause the turn of events here, and what's going to result from it? Today, we'll be looking at a scenario where Granolah is sent to Earth with Goku. This is going to be more like my Mortal Beerus what if, where I'm essentially taking a pre-existing character and making a brand new one out of it, although this one isn't as radical of a change. And for this video, let's set a like goal of 4,000 likes. If we hit that, I'll continue with another part to this story and make it a full series. Anyways, let's begin this scenario. We begin during Bardock's fight with the Heaters, or the lack thereof. The big change here is that instead of fighting them, Bardock's able to create a distraction, briefly battling, but then making a getaway with Granolah and Monito, allowing them to head off planet, back to planet Vegeta actually. He doesn't know why he's doing this, or why he's been acting up this entire time. This isn't like him, and he just saved these random two people. He'll figure it out back on planet Vegeta. But he's also having thoughts about something else. He's very suspicious of Frieza, and feels like sometime soon, something bad's gonna happen. He arrives back on planet Vegeta, going to Gine, who's surprised to see the two people with him. Bardock says he doesn't really have time to explain. He just kinda did this on a whim. But he also tells her about Frieza. Monito is shocked to hear this too. So even here, they're not safe. Bardock says he doesn't really know what to do. At least he got him out of there so the Heaters wouldn't have killed them. But they still do have to worry about Frieza. Monito regrets how hastily they escaped planet Cereal, because he now realized that they left the Dragon Balls there. They probably could have used that for something, but Bardock has another idea. They're gonna escape this planet. They'll go somewhere off the map. And first, maybe they should send the two kids away. Gine doesn't really like this idea, but Bardock says worst case, they'll just go find Kakarot again. And they can send Granolah with him. These two will be safe. And before Frieza does something, if he even is planning something at all, they'll be able to leave as well. Both Granolah and Kakarot are confused, but Bardock, Gine, and Monito tell them it's for the best, as the two kids are sent off to planet Earth. Of course, even with this change, it doesn't change the fact that Frieza's gonna destroy planet Vegeta. All the Saiyans on there die, including Bardock. Monito also dies as well, with planet Cereal's Dragon Balls going with him. But at least the two kids are safe on Earth. When they arrive, the two don't really know how to act. They're both overwhelmed by everything that's happening. And Kakarot's a bit rowdy. He is still pretty young, and as a Saiyan, he's naturally like this. Granolah is a bit older than him, so at least he has some sense of what to act like. Or at least that's what we'll be going with in this scenario. We'll say that Granolah is a bit older than him by a few years or so. The two of them are eventually found by Gohan, who takes them in and actually learns a bit about them. Since Granolah's memory is intact, and he's old enough to actually talk about what's happened, he gives Gohan a little bit of info. He doesn't know too much about this kid with him, but he knows that his father or something saved him. He can't articulate much beyond that. So Gohan asks both their names. Granolah knows his name, but he never actually got that kid's name. Well, Gohan will just have to make one for him for now. He'll call this kid Goku. And at some point, Grandpa Gohan would probably still drop Goku on his head, meaning all of his memories are gone for good. But at least Granolah still has some of his, remembering his planet, how he got here, and of course people like his mom and Monito. But it's weird, Goku lost all of his memories. And at first, Granolah isn't really too fond of him. I mean, the Saiyans did destroy their people, but he realized that this kid could be different. And he remembers, it is the son of the Saiyan who saved him. Not to mention, Monito went along with it too. Maybe he should try and protect this kid. And as the two grow up under Grandpa Gohan, Granolah starts to feel more of a connection with Goku. There is some big changes here with them growing up. Even though Goku doesn't know his name Kakarot, he does know a little bit about his history, and he does know that he's a Saiyan. And of course Granolah knows he's an alien too. But with him being here, it actually helps a bit with Goku's training. Under Gohan's guidance, he's raising two students. And Granolah has some really weird abilities. He also does know a little bit about ki control. He's seen his people use ki like that all the time. And he doesn't really have a good grasp on it yet. But at some point he is able to showcase it, meaning Goku would probably showcase it earlier on too. Also, Goku's probably going to grow up smarter than normal. The reason for that is, Gohan's not going to die here. At some point, Goku would probably transform into a great ape, and both Granolah and Gohan try everything in their power to stop it. But Granolah's able to see something pretty interesting. He sees a vital point in his tail. With no other better options, he cuts off Goku's tail, making him de-transform back into his base. Of course, the tail does grow back later on, but the two of them realize whatever that power was, it probably came from that tail. Granolah saw those great apes on his planet too. So it's something that all Saiyans could do, but something that Goku doesn't have control over. But with how strong the two kids are growing, Gohan decides at some point they should probably visit Roshi. That'll really help with their training. And the two of them are sent there pretty early on. He's intrigued. First of all, he learns that these two are aliens, but he also sees their innate potential. They'll definitely be interesting as students, and he can't wait to see what they'll be capable of. A lot of time passes. The two grow closer and closer. Although they're not biologically related, Granolah does view Goku as a younger brother. They've grown up together. And Goku has ties to his former life. The last time he saw Monito is when he and Goku departed planet Vegeta. But Goku's also a symbol of his new life here on Earth. Of course, Goku lives a much more carefree existence. He does know about his people, but doesn't really care for them because he doesn't really remember them either. That connection isn't as strong like it is with Granolah. But the two grow a bond, not just as brothers but as rivals too. At some point, under Roshi's training, they get a visitor on the island. It's Bulma, looking for the Dragon Balls. And yeah, they remember hearing about this. But wait a second. The more Granolah learns about them, the more he realizes. These are just like the ones on Planet Cereal, the ones that Monito made. Does that mean there's possibly a Namekian here too? Well, no one knows for sure, because no one even knows what a Namekian is. So it looks like Granolah's just gonna have to figure it out later on. But both of them are intrigued. They go on the hunt for the Dragon Balls with Bulma. It seems pretty fun, and it'll give them some real-world training. Or at least they think so. All the threats they encounter aren't really that strong. With how powerful these two are right now, nothing in their way could stop them, not even the Pilaf gang. They also do meet people like Yamcha, as well as Chi-Chi and Ox King, and the journey is much easier than it was normally, as well as being much faster, meaning Bulma gets the Dragon Balls, and she makes a wish for an unlimited supply of strawberries. So that's the first arc done with. From here, the two try to hone their skills even further. Granolah is still a bit ahead of Goku. He knows the skills of the Cerealians and all, and he's practicing what he's best at. He works on sniping more, although it's weird. There's no other Cerealians here that he could practice with, so he ends up making his own style of fighting. He actually studies Earthling-based snipers, who use actual weapons instead of ki, which is weird, but he takes inspiration from it, which is why his design looks like this. For this design, I took a lot of inspiration from Metal Gear Solid, because Granolah's working on stealth a lot, trying to incorporate that within his style. Also, as a further Metal Gear Solid reference, he's gonna have a pet here. A pet parrot, actually. Why? Because of the reference. There's no other reason, really. Best part is, his parrot's name is Oatmeal. And it's nice for him to have a pet. Also, Oatmeal kind of acts as a spotter for him sometimes. He trains him like that. As well as training Oatmeal to act as a decoy, mimicking different sounds. He utilizes this whenever they hunt for food. Something that he does a lot in his training just to practice more. But even with this kind of rudimentary training, he does still train under Roshi a lot too with more formal training. And eventually the two of them meet Krillin. Again, Granolah is still ahead of them, and a bit older too. He's probably around the same age as Bulma. And he has kind of an unfair advantage against the two because he's also taller than them, by a significant amount too. And this comes into play during the 21st World Tournament. The three students all enroll, as well as Roshi as Jackie Chun. And Roshi's concerned that one of his students will win, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but he doesn't want it to get to their heads. But for Granolah, it might not be that big of an issue. He's much more mature, it seems. He's more so concerned about how Goku will react if he wins. Oh yeah, and since Gohan's here, he's probably gonna end up joining the tournament too, just to see how his two adopted sons are performing. The final ends up being Granolah versus Goku. And Granolah's intrigued to see how his little brother is growing. Although, he does end up winning the fight, and Roshi's glad. The two both seem content. And Granolah's definitely not gonna get ahead of himself, getting cocky about winning or whatever. He already knows he's advantaged. He's an alien after all. He kinda knew going in that he'd win. And Roshi does tell him, he's not infallible. Just because he wins this tournament doesn't mean he can't be stopped by anything. Roshi's known for a while. Granolah's a good influence on Goku. And actually, vice versa applies too. Goku makes Granolah a lot softer. He is kind of shut off from the others, given how he grew up and all, and the fact that he's not actually an Earthling. And even though Granolah does have an air of confidence around him, he holds his family and friends really close, specifically Gohan and Goku. In order to practice more with sniping, Granolah continues studying the snipers here on Earth. He ends up spying on the Red Ribbon Army actually. They seem pretty powerful, and of course as an army they're gonna have people like this. But he can only do this for so long. At some point, he will be noticed. But it's good timing too, because now the Red Ribbon Army is mobilizing, trying to gather the Dragon Balls for themselves, beginning their journey for world dominance. One day while studying them, Granolah is spotted, but their weapons are useless against him. He never even thought about it like that. So he begins attacking the army, realizing they're a threat. But this might be a little bit too much for him. I mean, he's alone right now. Does this mean he's gonna take on the entire army alone? Well, not necessarily. Goku can tell something's going on with Granolah. He hasn't come back home in a while, so Goku goes to check up on him. And as Granolah fights the Red Ribbon Army, Goku arrives on Nimbus, jumping down from the sky, beginning to fight alongside Granolah. Together, the two take on the entire Red Ribbon Army, and the army realizes they're at a disadvantage now. Somehow, these two alone are taking on their entire troops, so they're gonna need to send in the big guns. Their strongest soldiers, like Blue for example, but even he's not enough for them. Thankfully, they still do have an ace up their sleeve, Mercenary Tao. He might actually be a match for these two. As the two continue fighting the army, something strange happens. They see what looks like a tree or something flying in the sky, and a man jumps off of it. He doesn't even say anything, but Goku and Granolah immediately know that he's a threat. Tao rushes towards Goku, landing a powerful attack, and knocks him away, and Granolah then tries to attack. But Tao counters it, and the two clash. Goku gets back up, recollecting himself, pulling out his power pole and using it to fight. If they were alone, Tao could have probably won. But with the two of them fighting together, he knows he needs to separate them, so he focuses his attention on Goku, who actually has a tough time fending him off. But Granolah jumps in front of him, telling Tao to stay away from his little brother. If he wants to fight, pick on someone his own size. And Tao tries to attack with his tongue even, which is weird, but Granolah sees what he's doing. He's trying to go for vital points. He instantly recognizes what's going on here. Alright, if Tao's gonna do that, Granolah could do that too, pretty easily in fact. He focuses with his right eye, locating every vital point that he could find on Tao. And with a series of coordinated attacks, he's able to hit them all, landing some devastating blows, dealing more damage than what would have been dealt normally. Tao is dumbfounded. How is this possible? And just like that, the Red Ribbon Army is defeated, with Tao being killed by Granolah. Goku thanks him for the save, and Granolah is glad he's okay. Roshi, Krillin, and Gohan then come in, surprised to hear what happened, but apparently, they stopped the Red Ribbon Army's conquest before it even began. They took on an entire army? These two kids? Wow. They always knew the Red Ribbon Army was bad, but they didn't think that they were actually gonna do this. Not to mention send an assassin after two kids. But it seemed like they were the ones that were disadvantaged, because in the end, Granolah and Goku won. Although, this is gonna have some consequences later on. With Tao dying, someone's gonna want revenge. Just like Granolah is protective of his brother, Tao has a brother that's gonna be pretty upset to hear about his death, and that's Master Shen. He wants Granolah and Goku to be dealt with. He'll avenge his brother, and he has the perfect way to do that. His two students, Tenshinhan and Chaozu. He'll make sure his students kill Roshi's students. We enter a brief time skip too. Right before the 22nd World Tournament, Goku, Granolah, and Krillin are growing much stronger. As Granolah also begins to develop more of his own fighting style, they're ready for whatever's gonna come their way next. Even though they don't exactly know what lies ahead. Goku wants to surpass his brother though. As I mentioned, they are rivals, and the two motivate each other to grow stronger. Goku doesn't want Granolah to worry about him anymore, having to protect him and all, like that fight against Tao. Goku wishes he could have handled that himself, but he simply couldn't. But maybe there's another method of training that they could pursue. Roshi leads them to Korin's tower. This might be a good next step for all three of them, even Krillin, although it's definitely going to take a lot of time. It even took Roshi a lot of time, but maybe they'll be able to climb the tower and meet Korin. And if they're able to do this, he'll definitely train them to grow way stronger than they could have been before. And the three begin their journey to climb to the top. It takes a while, but they eventually reach it. And Korin's intrigued to see three of them up here. Well, looks like he has his work cut out for him, and he's gonna begin training these three to be the best warriors that they could be. And he wonders, maybe one day, they'll be strong enough to go even beyond the tower, up to Kami's lookout. But that might be a bit of a ways off. For now, he's just gonna focus on this for the moment. This will definitely prepare them for the World Tournament coming up. But at the same time, the Crane School is making preparations too. Not only are they gonna win this tournament, but they're gonna make sure Granolah and Goku are killed. At least that's what Shen wants to make sure happens. As Korin continues training the three fighters, he's pretty pleased with how they're growing. And it's good because there's another tournament coming up soon. What better way to test their powers than to send them to this? They definitely feel like they have grown stronger. Of course, Roshi's training was valuable, but Korin's training is another level. Literally another level. Of course, this isn't the greatest place they can go to train yet, but they'll find out a better place soon enough. And thus, we enter the 22nd World Tournament. Remember what I mentioned last time about Shen? Well, Roshi sees him there and is kind of worried about his two students, Tenshinhan and Chaozu. Roshi doesn't actually enter this time because he doesn't see a need for Jackie Chun. Just like in the last tournament, he feels that Granolah probably will be the best of his students here. He is just naturally advantaged by being older. But even though he doesn't need to keep Goku in check, he still regrets not entering because of this. He hopes those two students aren't too brutal. He feels that his students could surpass them, but he doesn't know what they have in store. Especially because of Tao's death, these two are fired up, ready to defeat the Turtle School. And beyond that, they're ready to kill them. Roshi can sense the evil intent within them. This might turn ugly. Hopefully they avoid that. And they actually get to see this battle pretty early on. As the tournament goes through, one of the fights is actually Ten versus Granolah. Granolah wonders if his three eyes are just cosmetic, or if that third eye actually serves a purpose. He's going to be on guard. Maybe Ten has similar abilities to him. But as he comes to learn, Ten isn't even relying on his eyesight like that. Granolah's not even sure if he can, but it doesn't seem like he's even doing that anyways. Ten tells Granolah he'll pay for what he did to Tao, but Granolah's confused. He tried to kill them. This was in self-defense. Do they think he sought out Tao and just killed him like that? Well, no one actually knows what happened, but it's enough to fuel the Crane School's hatred for them. But as the two continue fighting, it becomes clear. Granolah might actually have an edge in terms of strength. All that time training with Korn, it's really helped. And Ten's surprised. How is that possible? There's no way the Turtle School's superior to them. Ten uses every technique that he can. But Granolah doesn't hold back either. Through a combination of strategy and strength, he ends up winning against Ten Shinhan. But he's surprisingly pretty respectful about it. Roshi was confused. He thought Granolah would get a little bit more cocky over this. I mean, obviously this is good. It shows that Granolah is changing, but he just didn't expect it. But Granolah kinda understands why Ten went after them. He was given misinformation, confused. But he tells Ten they're not the enemies. Ten's a bit frustrated to be defeated at first, but deep down, he's kind of intrigued. That guy was strong. It's making him reconsider things. Maybe he is on the wrong side. Anyways, the tournament continues, and the finalists begin to fight. The finalists this time are actually Goku and Granolah. A pretty obvious outcome. Granolah tells Goku he'll go easy on him. He'll give himself a handicap even, but Goku then tells him to not do that. He doesn't want him to hold it back. Goku fights his brother at full strength. Nothing else. And Granolah is surprised to hear this, but also at the same time, not too surprised. Alright. He tells Goku he won't hold back. Nothing is off limits. And there's a weird thing that Granolah notices during this fight. It never really clicked with him, but Goku's still kinda small. It's not like he's incredibly young anymore. But he's still just very short. Well, maybe that's just how Saiyans age. He doesn't know for sure. But that's definitely gonna give Goku a disadvantage in his eyes. Or maybe not. It makes Goku a lot harder to hit. I mean, it's pretty obvious. He's a lot more agile, and there's less of him to hit. And they have been doing the same training. And with Goku being much stronger than before, it actually gives Granolah somewhat of a challenge. But in the end, I still feel he'll win here. And the two are glad to have made it to the finals, as well as getting to fight each other again. Roshi gives a sigh of relief. That's another crisis averted. He thought the Crane School would be a bigger challenge, but no. They were dismantled by all three of his students. But is there really a crisis averted? Not really. What follows goes mostly the same at first. Tambourine ends up attacking, and Krillin dies, completely shocking everybody, especially Goku and Granolah, who are the ones to find him. Given Granolah's overprotective nature here, he's infuriated beyond belief. He's never felt a rage like this. Krillin was just a kid, his friend. Who could have done something like this? And Goku feels the exact same way. And now Granolah's concerned for him. Goku immediately wants to go out and find whoever did this. And Granolah says they need to wait. They don't know what they're up against. But Goku tells Granolah he has to stop being so overprotective of him. Goku wants to do this, and he knows Granolah wants to too. Even if it might be risky, it's what they need to do. They're gonna have to face the threat eventually, he says. And Goku does tell Granolah he can handle himself now. He saw in the tournament. And this actually makes Granolah recognize, yeah, Goku is growing older and more mature. As an older brother, he always felt obligated to protect Goku. But Goku's starting to be able to handle himself now. Reluctantly, Granolah agrees with his brother, but he tells him one thing. The only condition is that they need to do this together. And Goku's fine with that. He was expecting it to be like that anyways. The two of them feel the same rage. Honestly, it would be weird if Granolah didn't say that. They go off to fight Tambourine. As for the rest of the group, things go normally for them. Oh yeah, one thing I kind of forgot to mention. Don't worry, Yamcha is still involved. I feel even though he has less connection to the group, at some point he'd want to hone his fighting skills more, and it might lead him to the Turtle School. Not that he's too important right now, but he's there. But as for Goku and Granolah, things go much differently. Well, it's pretty obvious, Granolah's there first of all. But Goku's actually stronger too. They find Tambourine, and they're able to actually defeat him. And now begins their journey to defeat the rest of King Piccolo's kids. They meet Yajirobe along the way. But the greatest part here is, Goku's never put out of commission. With the two of them fighting together, they're able to actually take on all of King Piccolo's kids. At least the ones they could find. That's what they're trying to do right now. trying to locate everyone and protect the other fighters from being killed by them. But in their haste, they completely forgot. What's happening with the rest of the group? Hopefully they're okay. I mean, they should be okay. They could probably fend for themselves. And there wasn't really anyone else in the tournament besides Yamcha. There's no reason to target people like Roshi and Bulma because Roshi wasn't even in the tournament this time. And obviously Bulma wasn't. But there's also those other people in the tournament too that they need to protect. They probably won't be able to handle themselves. And they wonder, what about Ten and Chaozu? Ten was pretty strong, but not strong enough to fend against this maybe. Well, who knows? Hopefully things are going okay. And they realize they should probably stop this journey and actually go link up with the group again. Granolah calls for Oatmeal, telling him to go find Roshi and the others. They can't really sense anything right now, but thankfully with Oatmeal, they might be able to find them. Goku also calls for Nimbus. He's gonna search around too. And Granolah goes his own way, with the three of them splitting up kinda. But Oatmeal tracks Granolah down again, and Granolah launches a blast in the air as a beacon, signaling Goku to come back. Goku swings by, extending his power pole for Granolah to grab onto. It's weird, Granolah can't really ride the Nimbus cloud. But this is the workaround they found. Goku rides up top, dangling Granolah below. Maybe someday he'll be able to ride it. It seems he's not as pure-hearted as his brother. Weird, he wonders why. But it's already too late. As they're flying over there, they see Shenron in the sky. Someone summoned the dragon, and they can only assume the worst. They arrive and see King Piccolo, and no words are exchanged. Immediately, before King Piccolo even knows they're there, powerful and accurate blasts of energy come down from the sky. He's regained his youth by now, so thankfully he's able to deflect them. But they do kinda hurt. They were aimed at his vital points. They weren't just random blasts. And he sees Granolah drop down from the sky, with Goku then descending as well. He tells them they're far too late. He's already achieved youth and they're not gonna stop him. And they look around to see the carnage. Roshi and Chaozu are both dead. And nearby, Ten's there, but he's starting to wake up after being unconscious. The two brothers can't believe what they're seeing. They were enraged before at Krillin's death, but now Roshi and Chaozu too? Not that they know Chaozu too well, but Roshi obviously. And Chaozu's just an innocent bystander. In response to seeing this, the two of them power up. An amazing amount of ki collects within them. They scream in unison and attack in unison. It actually kind of catches King Piccolo off guard. Granolah is able to land a powerful kick, aiming it so he flings King Piccolo into the forest. This is where he's going to thrive. This is where he's going to win this fight. Granolah's practiced stealth, and he's going to use that to his advantage here. He and Goku fight very well together, and this way they could utilize combo attacks. King Piccolo looks around, ready for anyone to attack him. Goku jumps from the treetops, kicking downward towards Piccolo. Piccolo's about to deflect it, but then a sniper shot hits his arm, and one in his back too, stunning him. It allows Goku to get a direct hit in his face. Then jumping back up into the treetops, disappearing. Granolah then jumps out of the bushes. Piccolo tries to counterattack again, and the power pole then hits him in the face, allowing Granolah to hit him right at a vital point. The two of them are using hit and run strategies, with Granolah also utilizing his sniping and his stealth. But then, surprisingly, Piccolo sees someone else stumble into the forest. It's Ten Shinhan. He wonders what he's planning to do. But Ten simply performs a solar flare, saying nothing else. King Piccolo was blinded. Ten yells out, "Now's the time to attack." And Granolah and Goku hold nothing back. They both converge in on King Piccolo's location, and with him blinded, they take advantage of it, attacking with all their might, basically seeing no resistance. Ten's gonna try something. He wonders if maybe he could pull off the Mafuba. It'll be tough, but it could work. He tells them to just weaken King Piccolo for him. Keep him at bay so he can prepare. The two continue the barrage of attacks, and right before the blindness wears off, King Piccolo faintly sees something. He sees the two brothers in front of him, launching a massive Kamehameha. A Brotherhood Kamehameha launches him up into the sky. Dealing significant damage, he falls back down to the ground. But right before he touches the surface, Ten performs a Mafuba, and it actually works. He's incredibly weakened, falling to the ground exhausted afterwards. Granolah and Goku rush over to him to make sure he's okay, and they watch as he seals the container. This is what Roshi was trying to do, and he succeeded. They're glad they won. They stopped King Piccolo, but it's still a little bit too late. They're friends, they're dead, and the Dragon Balls, they're gonna have to wait another year for them. Well, no. Ten tells them that's not actually the case. He noticed before, the Dragon Balls turned to stone, and Granolah realized that can only mean one thing. Shenron's probably dead. Ten didn't see it, but he assumes the same as well. King Piccolo probably killed him. So now, they have a new conundrum. They don't know what to do next, but they are pretty injured. Ten thankfully got the least of it, but the two of them can't go on with these injuries for too long. They need to be checked and healed quickly. They need to go back to Korin and get a Senzu Bean. Even if they just split one between the two of them, that'll be fine. Thankfully, Yajirobe shows up, driving them back there, with Ten going to get the others, making sure everything's okay with them. He commends them for their defeat, and they're glad to see. It was weird working with him after what they just experienced with him in a tournament, but it's nice to see this change within Ten. And now, we're gonna go a little bit light speed. Goku and Granolah get to Korin's tower, they get healed up, and they also get told about Kami. So now the two of them start their journey to get to the lookout, and of course, the two of them are gonna make it there. They meet Kami, Shenron is restored, and Kami also offers to train them. Obviously, they're not gonna turn it down, and we enter a little bit of a time skip. The two of them basically stay up there until the next tournament. Even at one point, they try and use the Room of Spirit and Time, but it's a little bit too much for them, although it's nice to know that this exists. And that thing that Granolah noted before about Goku's height and all, Goku actually goes through a growth spurt. He's glad his brother and him are finally on the same playing field. But not just that, the two of them are growing exponentially stronger thanks to Kami's training, and they're both equally glad to see this. They're becoming closer as brothers and as rivals, and soon enough, they'll be able to see their friends again. It's a good thing they came up here and got Shenron restored. And the thing is, the 23rd World Tournament's gonna be pretty peaceful. There's no Piccolo Jr. Their friends are all glad to see them again, and Ten has a rematch with Granolah, and Goku even has a rematch with Krillin. Of course, the two brothers win their respective fights, but they're glad to see how these other two have grown too. Of course, the two brothers are rivals with each other, but who knows, maybe they found rivals in these other two. Goku's trained with Krillin so much, and the two of them are best friends after all. And as for Granolah and Ten, he recognized that change that Ten went through before, and he wants to see more of him. Not only is the rivalry between brothers flourishing, but between their two external rivals. Oh yeah, of course, Chi-Chi's still gonna propose to Goku. And it gets Bulma thinking that maybe she missed the boat with Goku, kinda like she did in the original story. But there is another opportunity in front of her that maybe she's gonna take this time. And I'm not talking about Yamcha. This time she's not gonna fumble. It's someone she's kinda thought about for a while, but not really like that. Mainly because of Yamcha. And then we get to the final battle. A battle between the two brothers. And Granolah doesn't even try to hold back this time. He knows that Goku wants him to fight at full strength, and Granolah wants the same. And now, the two of them are actually pretty close to even. He's surprised that Goku's growing so quickly, but that must just be how Saiyans grow. Cerealians are growing pretty strong too. As we've seen through this series, because that's an assumption that I'm gonna make just to keep him at the same strength as Goku. And Granolah did have a huge amount of potential in the main story anyways. It wouldn't really make sense to not give him that. Cerealians seem to be pretty powerful, but in comparison to Saiyans, we don't know too much. Although here, the two of them are around the same level. Goku's grown quickly, Granolah's grown quickly. And Goku even tries to use Granolah's own tactics against him, hitting vital points and all. Of course, he can't do it as effectively, but Granolah commends the effort. It's kind of funny to see. And the battle concludes. It's kind of hard to tell who's going to win because the two are so close, but it ends up being Goku winning. And Granolah's glad. His brother won through a combination of strategy and strength. It's nice. He's happy to see his brother get this win, and Goku's elated. Goku goes off with his new fiancée, and now the rest of them go on with their own lives. And we see another bit of a time skip. This time though, Goku's more connected with the group because Granolah's there, as well as Grandpa Gohan. He's gonna want to see them a lot more often. And soon enough, Goku and Chi-Chi actually have a kid. And also over this time skip, remember what I mentioned with Bulma? Well, she ends up dating someone that she's friends with and pretty close to actually. Someone that she's known for a while, and has proven to be mature unlike Yamcha. Bulma ends up with Granolah actually. And each brother is glad for the other. They've both grown incredibly strong. They have great friends, great relationships with their partners, and Goku's even married with a kid now, who of course he names after Grandpa Gohan. They need to have a big reunion at one point, which ends up getting planned. Granolah and Bulma are waiting at Kame House, awaiting Goku's arrival. Krillin's there, and even Ten showed up. By now, Bulma's even expecting a kid of her own, so soon enough we'll see that. And they can't wait to give the news to Goku. But Granolah notices something weird. With his stronger eye, he sees very far away. There's something in the sky that appears to be a spaceship. At first he thought it was a meteor, but there's a ship coming towards Earth. He's a bit concerned, not knowing what it is. And not too long after, that ship lands. Raditz has arrived, ready to retrieve Kakarot. Goku gets to the island, ready for the reunion. And instead of everyone being happy to see him, they're a little bit concerned, especially Granolah. Goku's wondering why everyone's acting like this. And Granolah explains. He saw a spaceship approaching Earth, and from what he could tell, there was a power on it, a pretty strong one. The reason he was concerned too is because the space pod looked familiar. He remembered, back on his planet when the Saiyans arrived, they used similar space pods.
Goku immediately could tell what Granola's implying, but that makes no sense. The Saiyans are dead. Granolah told him he was the only one that survived, and Granolah said that's what he thought. This might not be that, this might be something else, but the space pod is even the exact same one that they arrived in, and Goku then senses that power. It's coming right towards them. It definitely feels malicious. And before they can even decide whether or not they should go check out the power, that power comes right to them. It's Raditz. He is another Saiyan. But how did he find them? How did he survive? And why is he here? Raditz is a bit confused too. He knew Kakarot was here, but who's this other guy? He clearly doesn't look like an Earthling. And Raditz tells them who he is. He's Kakarot's brother. Okay, wait, that might be good because remember what Bardock did. That was Goku's father. He saved them. Maybe Raditz is here for a good purpose? And the more he talks, the more they realize that's not true. It's so weird. How is he acting so different from Goku? Goku is such good-natured. Even Bardock, with his flaws and all, he at least did make some right choices towards the end of his life. Granolah only has assumptions of what his life was like beforehand. But Raditz, he just seems like a normal Saiyan. Alright, well, if they don't want to join him, he's gonna have to force them to join him. Specifically Kakarot. He doesn't care about anyone else here. He grabs onto Gohan quickly and flies away, telling Kakarot that if he wants his son back, he'll have to kill a bunch of people and bring them to Raditz. Both Goku and Granolah launch towards him. And quickly, Raditz throws Gohan up into the air, sticking both of his hands out, launching beams at each of them, flinging them far away into the ocean. He catches Gohan and then flies away. Granolah immediately calls for Oatmeal to try and track down Raditz. But Goku says there's no need for that. Gohan had a Dragon Ball in his head. They just need to use the Dragon Ball radar. Angrily, he calls for Nimbus. Everyone else on the island tells him to be careful, but Goku says it'll be okay. He'll save Gohan. He has Granolah on his side too. And Krillin even offers to join along. He can't just sit by while the two of them fight this guy. Goku basically makes a makeshift airplane. He hops onto Nimbus, pulling out his power pole and sticking it out to each side. Krillin grabs onto one end, while Granolah grabs onto the other, and Nimbus flies off. Raditz awaits Kakarot's arrival, and sure enough he shows up, with two other people, that bald guy and that other alien-looking dude. So, Kakarot's gonna try and fight him. Raditz warns him that's not gonna go well. He could just join his brother. He should stick close by to his family after all. Imagine what the three of them could do. Him, Kakarot, his son. With their power as Saiyans, they could do so much together. But Goku tells him he is gonna stick by his family. That's why he's defending Earth. And he tells Raditz too, he already has a brother, Granolah. And Raditz is put off by this and just starts laughing. They are clearly not related. And yeah, they may not be biological brothers, but they still are brothers. And Granolah even tells Raditz his father would be ashamed. Raditz just laughs even more, as if Granolah knew his father. And Granolah asks Raditz, how does he think he got here with Goku? Goku confirms it too. Raditz is annoyed, just getting angrier. That's not a true Saiyan's nature. His father did that? That was just a moment of weakness for him, saving this random other Cerealian or whatever he is. Goku's not a true Saiyan either, and Goku tells Raditz, that's the thing, he's not a Saiyan, he's an Earthling. Granolah says the same thing. Raditz launches towards them, and the two rush in. Immediately, Granolah goes for Raditz's tail. Damn it, Raditz didn't even consider that. He would have already known about the tail being a weak point, not to mention, Granolah could just track weak points anyways. But Raditz should have known. If he's been here with Kakarot all this time, he probably knows more about the Saiyans than he should. As he grabs onto the tail, he lets Goku hold it next, and Raditz shrieks in pain. The two swap places, as Granolah then starts attacking. While Goku holds him still, Granolah does some point-blank sniping, hitting a bunch of vital points around Raditz, and launching some powerful point-blank ki blasts too. And Granolah gives his brother the signal. It's time for their combo move. Turtle School Skeet Shooting. Goku chuckles. He's been waiting to try this out. He flings Raditz up into the air, and the two brothers stand back to back, quickly charging a Kamehameha, launching it upwards, flinging Raditz even higher into the sky. Goku then jumps high up into the sky too, ascending even faster than Raditz, thanks to a foot Kamehameha propelling him. As Raditz continues flying upwards, Granolah starts sniping him, basically leaving him stunned midair, and Raditz watches helplessly as Goku ascends next to him, then flipping above Raditz, kicking him downwards and driving him towards the ground. And as Raditz is launched towards the ground, Granolah jumps up, hitting the final blow midair, hitting Raditz right in a vital point. Raditz crashes down towards the ground. How is he defeated? They weren't even that strong. Their strategy overcame him, and their teamwork overcame him. And in his last breaths, Raditz laughs, telling them the other Saiyans will soon appear. And he's not bluffing. Thankfully, the Saiyans don't know the Dragon Balls this time because no one mentioned them around Raditz. Vegeta and Nappa are actually going to retrieve Kakarot. Considering the fact that they killed Raditz, and there's another alien here, they both seem strong. And Vegeta and Nappa think that they could try one last time to get Kakarot to join them. And if not, well, it'll at least be fun to fight these two. and then take over this planet and give it to Frieza. So now the two brothers have this on their mind. More Saiyans are going to arrive soon enough. Thankfully, Gohan is safe. While the other two fought Raditz, Krillin secured Gohan. He did want to join, as well as help with their combo move, and even though that would have been cool, he didn't really want to get in the way of it. So, what are they supposed to do now? They need to train. They need to prepare for this, and that includes training Gohan too. And Goku turns to Granolah. They need to train for as long as possible. For this entire year, they need to spend that time training. And it then hits Granolah too. If it's an entire year that they're going to be gone, well, he has a kid on the way soon. And if they're going to be training Gohan too, after seeing a little bit of his latent power, he kind of wonders, what would it be like for his kid, a hybrid Cerealian? It's interesting to think about, but if anything, this serves as more motivation for Granolah. He needs to make sure that Bulma and his future child are safe. He was going to protect Earth regardless, but he's just being given more reasons. And Goku thanks Granolah for his help back there. And Granolah scolds Goku for thanking him. Of course he was going to help. It's like Goku said, they're brothers after all. Goku's comforted by this. And he looks to Gohan. Looks like it's his time to shine too. So, what's everyone going to do for training? As for Goku and Granolah, they go to Kami, who suggests they go to King Kai. He's going to have to pull some strings, but considering the circumstances, he probably will be able to. As for Gohan, he's taken to Grandpa Gohan. Grandpa Gohan's glad to take him. It's his namesake after all. He and Roshi will work to train him. They did it for Goku and Granolah after all, so they could train Gohan just as easily. And as for the humans, they'll be training on the lookout with Kami. Chi-Chi and Bulma don't want to see Goku and Granolah go, but they know to ensure the future of Earth that this needs to happen. Chi-Chi's especially angry because Gohan needs to train, but she's more so angry at the Saiyans. The fact that Raditz kidnapped her son? Yeah, you know what? She'll let him train. Gohan will show them who's boss. And Goku's surprised to even see Chi-Chi like this. Thankfully for Granolah, it doesn't take too much convincing for Bulma. He does feel bad leaving and she knows that, but this is more important. The two brothers head off, with Kami taking them to Otherworld, then going across Snake Way. This is going to be a long journey. Now we enter a brief time skip. Over the next year, training everywhere goes pretty well. As for Gohan, he starts developing foundational things as a fighter. But also, Roshi and Grandpa Gohan notice something really interesting. He has brief moments where his power completely flares up. Of course, their training methods aren't nearly as cruel as what Piccolo had, so they don't see this too often. But at some points, they notice Gohan's anger boil over, and the power that he displays. It's even more impressive than some of the things that they've seen from Goku and Granolah. That can't be right, that has to be some sort of fluke, but the more they watch, the more they realize he's gifted beyond belief. But it's good. Knowing this, they can actually use it to train him even more, get him accustomed with it, and maybe get him to harness this power. It is going to be a bit tough because their training methods are much more traditional, unlike what Piccolo had. But unlike what happened with Piccolo's training, Gohan's actually going to be a much more confident fighter because he's in a much more safe environment for training. Roshi and Gohan are better as teachers here, and they already do have a connection with Gohan anyways. He knows he can trust them, and he knows he's in safe hands. As for the humans, they all get a lot stronger thanks to training with Kami. And after seeing Raditz, Krillin is a bit concerned. He wonders how strong the other Saiyans will be. If Raditz was that strong, the other two must be really powerful. And as for Goku and Granolah, training on King Kai's planet goes pretty well. It does take a while to get there. And that makes Granolah realize they'll probably have to leave early too to get back in time, so they're not going to be late, which is great. But that also means they do have a few days less to train, which is fine. They did get a great amount of training here on King Kai's planet. Not only were they training in 10 times gravity, but they're learning a bunch of new techniques, specifically the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb. Granolah's definitely good enough by now to the point where he could learn this technique. He never was bad, but he's always had that looming desire for revenge. After seeing what happened against his planet, he wanted the Saiyans gone. He wanted Frieza gone. Most of the Saiyans aren't gone for good though. It's just him and Goku's rejected his Saiyan nature, but this gives Granolah a lot more comfort. He knows that there's only a few other Saiyans out there, and he knows he's going to defeat them. Eventually he'll be able to find Frieza too, but for now, he can live a much more tranquil life knowing what's coming. The two of them thank King Kai, heading back to Earth much stronger than before, and the two of them arrive on time. Actually a bit early so Granolah can go see his kid. Of course he's still a newborn, and it gives Granolah so much more motivation actually seeing him. And Bulma took it upon herself to name the kid. Granolah did leave after all, so it's kinda her right to name him, and Granolah's fine with that. She gave him the name Trunks, a name fitting with her family. Trunks. Granolah kinda likes that. I kinda did want to give him a different name, but there's not really many other options for underwear names that don't sound weird, like the other names are kinda already used, and I also use boxers in another scenario, so like, what do I call him here, Thong? No, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna call him Trunks, it's easy. Anyways, now they can head off towards the fight. Goku, Granolah, Gohan, Krillin, Tenshinhan, Chaozu, and Yamcha. Can't forget him. They all encounter the two Saiyans, Vegeta and Nappa. So it is true, there's another alien here, someone from planet Cereal. Well, just so they don't waste time, let's start with a little test first. Nappa deploys the Cybermen, and surprisingly, the person to try and fight some of them is Gohan. Some of them launch towards the Earthlings, while a few of the Cybermen launch towards Gohan himself, and this is a perfect opportunity to showcase his skill. Goku and Granolah are both confident. They've seen what he's capable of, and they've heard from Grandpa Gohan and Master Roshi. Gohan is very talented. His two masters taught him well. He's not scared here, and he's harnessed his power. He's known since birth that he's special. Since his parents told him that he's half alien, he's already known this. It's strange, and it somewhat explains his weird powers. And this is how he needs to put them to use. He quickly powers up, defeating the Cybermen with ease. Leaving Vegeta and Nappa speechless. The rest of the Cybermen are defeated as well, but how did a child accomplish that? It must be the innate potential of a hybrid Saiyan. Maybe he's a Super Saiyan or something. They'll keep that in the back of their mind. For now, they need to just kill the rest of these guys. And hopefully drag Kakarot and his brat along with them. If the Cybermen can do the job, well, Nappa's the real deal. So now it's time for him to fight. He steps up, ready to face Gohan, thinking he'll be fun to face. But Granolah jumps in front of Gohan. They're really gonna have this giant guy fight a child? Nappa chuckles, cracking his neck. Well, if this guy has a death wish, he'd be glad to fight him too. And Granolah could easily tell. Nappa's not the real deal. What? Is he mocking Nappa? And Granolah says yeah. He knows Vegeta's the strong one. Nappa's just some lackey. This does exactly what he intended. It pisses Nappa off. Nappa launches towards Granolah, and Granolah quickly powers up. Vegeta's scouter goes off. His power level, over 10,000? If this guy is this strong, how strong is Kakarot? No, this has to be a fluke, but it isn't. Before Nappa could even land an attack, Granolah lands his own, hitting a vital point, stunning Nappa completely. He then knees Nappa in the stomach, sending him flying up into the air. Granolah locks his two hands together, forming a finger gun with 2 fingers from each hand. He charges a massive blast, launching the shot as if he's firing an actual gun. It hits Nappa head on, exploding midair, leaving nothing remaining. They killed Nappa that effortlessly. Whatever, Nappa is so much weaker than him anyways. Vegeta's not going to be scared by this. And he tells them, don't get cocky just because they killed Raditz and Nappa. Granolah was right, Vegeta is the real deal. And they're surprised. He doesn't seem fazed at all that his ally just died. And he isn't. He didn't need Nappa, he didn't need Raditz, he'll just kill them himself. If Kakarot's not going to join him, whatever, they gave him one last chance. He tells Kakarot and that Cerulean. He'll kill them here, he'll pry that child from their hands and raise him to be a true Saiyan. That power of a hybrid Saiyan, that'll be used against Frieza. And he'll succeed in his goal. And Vegeta then turns to Granolah. He'll finish the job that the Saiyans failed at long ago, eradicating the Ceruleans. As for Kakarot, he's low-class scum. He'll be eliminated. Obviously, he strikes a nerve with both of them, threatening to kidnap Gohan, and bringing up Granolah's past, saying that he'll finish the job. The two of them are angered, but they don't let the anger control them. They can't make a bad decision here. The two look at each other, nodding. They probably would do decently well if they fought in base. Remember what I mentioned before, Granolah's power is around 10,000 now. As for Goku, he's actually a bit stronger, 12,000. I feel like this is a reasonable increase. The two of them were stronger from the get-go, and they were training on King Kai's planet together. Having that training partner really did help. But they're not basing this fight on numbers. They need to make a smart choice. And the two agree on what they must do. In unison, they shout Kaioken. This is just for reassurance, and actually it's kinda overkill. One of them with Kaioken alone would be enough. But they use it anyways, briefly doubling their power. And Vegeta's stunned. His scouter explodes. That had to be inaccurate. Granolah was at 20,000, Kakarot 24,000. They're both stronger than him. That's not right. They launch towards Vegeta.
The two brothers launch towards Vegeta and Kaioken. Of course, them using Kaioken times 2 alone is actually more than enough to overpower Vegeta. With their collective power and their strategies and such, this is actually kind of overkill, and Vegeta realized this immediately. Not only is he outnumbered, he actually is overpowered, something he didn't expect. How does that make sense though? It's just some low-class Saiyan and the Cerulean. They killed those guys a while ago. There's no way these two should be able to stand up to him, but they are. They're doing it perfectly actually. Plus, you have Granolah's abilities to locate vital points, which just makes it even tougher for Vegeta. By now in this fight, Vegeta's tail is done with. They recognized it as a threat a while ago, removing it too. Granolah would have seen it as a vital point, and Goku would have known what it's like beforehand with the tail, so in order to avoid any Great Ape shenanigans, it's gone. And that means Vegeta has nothing to rely on. Is this where he's gonna lose? He's gonna just lose by fighting 2 people with Kaioken. There's no way around it. He can't summon any more strength, or can he? Even though it seems hopeless, Vegeta keeps fighting the two of them. Of course, they can't keep up Kaioken forever, even if it only is in times 2. They're trying to use it sparingly, but even with their base power, they could actually fend off Vegeta. So at some point in the fight, they do dial it back, utilizing only their base strength. Vegeta's already taken enough damage, so this is actually possible. But something weird starts to happen with Vegeta. He gets angry.
Of course, he's been angry throughout this entire fight, but this is a different kind of anger. The frustration, the feelings of anger that he's feeling right now, they're nothing like he's ever felt before. He needs to transform into a great ape so badly. It's the only way he could win. And out of desperation, he does create an artificial moon, flinging it up into the sky with the two brothers having no idea of what he's trying to plan. It's not going to do anything. Vegeta's trying to force a transformation out of himself, but he has no tail. He can't do that. Or can he? The overflowing anger within him, the blood waves from the artificial moon. It's mixing to create something. Maybe there's a way to transform. There has to be. And then, Vegeta starts feeling the power overflowing within him. His mastery over Great Ape allows him to do this. And he undergoes a change that he's never seen before. He bulks up. His eyes, they change color. His hair, it becomes more wild. All these factors mix together, and Vegeta transforms into something completely different. He could feel it, the power of a great ape within him, but he didn't transform into a great ape. The two brothers look on amazed. His power shot up dramatically, and he does look vaguely different, but what is this? And Vegeta laughs. This must be it. Unknowingly, Vegeta's accessed the wrathful form, but mistakenly, he thinks this is Super Saiyan. And this gives him a huge ego boost. He makes a grandiose speech, telling the two of them that he's the Super Saiyan, and now, there's no way he's going to be defeated by them. Honestly, he expected a little bit more from this transformation, but whatever. He's a Super Saiyan. And that makes him elated. The brothers try to attack him, and now Vegeta is far too strong. Plus, he's kept his normal size. Another advantage of this form. And unlike Broly using this form, Vegeta's not going to lose control. First of all, he does have the mastery over Great Ape, and he doesn't have Broly's rage issues. The power doesn't control him, he controls the power. Looks like the two brothers have to use Kaioken again. But this time, they buff it up to a new level, Kaioken times 4 between each of them. Even with the boost in power from Vegeta's wrathful form, he still has faced some injuries throughout the fight, and the artificial moon did take some out of him. Granted, the two brothers have faced some injuries as well, and are a little bit weakened from Kaioken. But the results here aren't going to be as clear-cut as you think. With Vegeta's handicaps and such, it doesn't make it a clear path to victory for him. It's actually a lot more even of a fight than you'd expect. He's losing steam, especially whenever Granolah is able to attack a vital point. Of course, he's able to defend better this time. Not only does he know to expect it, but he's also faster and stronger overall. So Granolah can't exploit this as much as he was before. But still, this power, he's having trouble maintaining it. He needs to end this quickly. He summons more strength, as much as he can, and he rushes towards the two brothers, attacking them with his brute strength alone. No key attacks, nothing. He just begins pummeling the two of them into the ground. But a massive blast is launched from nearby. It hits Vegeta in the back, and he barely feels it, but he still turns around. Tenshinhan's there with a Kikoho. And in the nick of time, Vegeta hears something behind him, jumping out of the way as a Kienzan flies by. Krillin's there, and Vegeta sees something in the sky, Yamcha descending downwards with a kick. He's about to deflect Yamcha's attack, and then another blast hits him from somewhere else. It's Gohan. This isn't doing much damage, but the humans and Gohan have distracted him, and it leaves a small opening for Granolah. Quickly, he sticks a hand out, hitting Vegeta right in a vital point in his neck. The two brothers collapse out of exhaustion with Kaioken, as Vegeta also collapses out of exhaustion, running out of steam from Wrathful, and facing the effects of this attack from Granolah. Vegeta is now unconscious, and the rest of the group has to decide what to do with him. Goku and Granolah can't move. So Gohan and the humans decide to take charge. Ten wants to kill Vegeta, and the other humans concur. It's the logical choice. Vegeta tried to kill them, so why not get rid of him? He checks around for approval, and Goku is the only one to speak up about it at first. He tells them that wouldn't be right. That would make them no better than him. Not to mention, Vegeta's unconscious right now. That'd be a dirty move. He's not a threat at the moment. And Granolah hesitates, wanting to kill Vegeta too, but he ends up agreeing with Goku. Goku's judgment may be better here. Granolah says he's biased. He can't make the call because he knows that he has his own internal biases against Vegeta, and this might cloud his judgment. He leaves it up to Goku. And Goku says Vegeta knows defeat. That's all that matters, and they could defeat him again if they need to. If they did it once, they could do it once more. Plus, their advantage right now. He's unconscious and injured. Get a couple Senzu beans, and he won't be able to stop them. Wait, what's Goku saying? Well, he has a little bit of an idea, but he's not too sure how well it'll go. Some time passes. Vegeta wakes up, still feeling his injuries, and he looks around. He's not in that wasteland that he was in before. He's in some room. As his vision becomes clearer, he sees the same people that he was fighting before. They're fully healed. And they all notice Vegeta wake up. Vegeta tries to move, but he can't. He's restrained by something. Circles of ki are surrounding him, tying him up, just to make sure he's not going to act out. Plus, with his injuries, that would be kind of tough. This only angers Vegeta further, and he tries to go wrathful again, but it doesn't work. He has no idea of how to do it.
Plus, he's too exhausted. He tries his hardest to break free, but he can't. And then Granolah steps up to Vegeta. He questions him about Frieza. So, he does know about Frieza. He's been mentioned before and remembers Bardock mentioning him too. And since these Saiyans did mention him in passing, he wants to know who Frieza is, or what he's planning. Granolah only has vague ideas of him. And Vegeta calls them idiots. That's the reason he's here. He's trying to recruit them against Frieza. They were resisting though. Goku says Raditz tried to kill them, same for Nappa and Vegeta. Vegeta won't accept that he's wrong, so he just screams, telling the two of them to shut up. If they want an explanation, he'll explain. He tells them a little bit about Frieza, but he says that he's never mentioned this much before. They only mentioned him in passing, so how do they know about Frieza beforehand? At least Granolah, that is. Well, Granolah tells a little bit about their backstory. Really, Raditz's father did that. He was a weakling just like his two sons. But at least he did make a right choice. Soon after he sent those two away, Planet Vegeta exploded. And Granolah asked if it was Frieza's doing. Vegeta has no confirmation, hearing that it was a meteor, but he does have some suspicion that it might have had something to do with Frieza. And Granolah says that's exactly what Bardock was saying. That's why they were sent away. He thought that Frieza was going to blow up the planet. Although he barely heard anything of what Bardock was saying to Manaido. He has some very limited info, and that's all he's been working with. And Vegeta explains some more. That Cerealian genocide, Vegeta had nothing to do with it. He was just using it as an excuse to get Granolah angry in the fight. But he explains more about Frieza and how he commanded the Saiyans and such. And Vegeta comes to a pretty interesting conclusion. They want Frieza dead too, don't they? Well, Goku doesn't really care. At least it's not personal for him. Not compared to Granolah or Vegeta. But knowing that he might be a threat to Earth and that he does seem strong, Goku does want to fight him. Granolah definitely does want to kill Frieza, in an attempt to get revenge at least. And Vegeta says that's good. They have some common ground. He could immediately tell. They kept him alive for a reason. All he wants is Frieza dead. He honestly didn't care if he had to wipe out Earth or whatever, but if they're gonna join him, he sees no reason to kill them. At least that's what he says. They don't know if they could trust Vegeta. He could just be bluffing to get out of whatever restraints he has. And Granolah's kinda on the fence, but given what happened with Goku, maybe Vegeta could have a change of heart. He does know what the Saiyans are like, and he doesn't know if Goku's an exception or an example. Maybe Vegeta could have a change of heart like him. But like he mentioned before, he does want to leave this choice up to Goku. Goku's matured a lot more, and Granolah's promised to stop policing his younger brother. So, why not let him make a choice here? It seems like it's a well-informed one. And Goku looks to his brother for approval. Granolah says if he thinks it's the right choice, then they'll go along with it. And Goku smiles. He knew that Granolah would agree. They're gonna let Vegeta go. But they promise Vegeta, if he tries anything, this time they won't hesitate to kill him. But now that they know part of why Vegeta was here, plus his main goal overall, they think that they could work towards something together. Maybe they could defeat this Frieza guy. And it's kind of weird for Vegeta to watch this, how brotherly these two are. They're not related at all, but they still act like they're actual brothers. More so than any other Saiyan would, because Saiyans don't really care about their family in general. What a strange situation, but whatever. That power that they utilize, it should be good enough. Plus, that hybrid Saiyan right there. He's probably pretty strong. Vegeta witnessed some of his strength during battle, and at least he has some control over his power thanks to Roshi and Grandpa Gohan. Not to mention Granolah's abilities too. But most importantly, Vegeta mentions the fact that he's a Super Saiyan now. That'll be enough to defeat Frieza, at least once he actually knows how to access Super Saiyan. Clearly, this form doesn't require his tail anymore, which is great, and Vegeta had to be primed and ready to transform to actually use it. So maybe it has something to do with that. He'll figure it out eventually. But even with all this collective strength, they might need a little bit more. Vegeta needs to heal up, obviously. And that requires them to trust Vegeta to not pull any stunts. Goku does have one idea for training. They need to use high gravity. It worked pretty well on King Kai's planet. And Vegeta mentions, yeah, the gravity here is pretty weak. No wonder they're so much weaker than they should be. Vegeta says more gravity definitely would help. Luckily, Granolah knows exactly who to ask. He goes to Bulma, and she says yeah, she could definitely whip up a machine that could do that. Making artificial gravity, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. At least not for someone as smart as her, and her father. Soon enough, the gravity chamber is made, and everyone begins training with it. Vegeta's given half a Senzu beam. They don't want him to be fully healed, but this is enough to let him train more. It keeps him in check, and it does give him a little boost in power. As the group starts their training in the gravity room, Vegeta tries to work towards his Super Saiyan form, and it actually does work at some point. It takes a while and a lot of practice, but he figures out how to tap into it at will. And he wonders, is this truly a Super Saiyan? He's gonna refer to it as such because that's what it feels like, but it's not as strong as he expected. It is just the power of a great ape in a humanoid form, but maybe this is what a Super Saiyan is. Maybe the legend just kinda overblowed the power. Or maybe there's a higher level he can go to. He's not too sure, but he's gonna keep working with this because it makes him incredibly powerful.
Unfortunately, he's not sure if any of the other Saiyans can access it. Vegeta already had the mastery over Great Ape, and when he transformed, he had such a good set of circumstances there. Blutt's waves, the fact that he only recently lost his tail, and his anger all combined together to help. So they theorized that people like Goku and Gohan can't access it, but that's fine. Goku has Kaioken, and as for Gohan, he has his own power as a hybrid Saiyan. Maybe they could do something with these things. Let's go into some powers now. Vegeta is the strongest of the group, at 400,000, which is 4 million in Wrathful. Although, Goku and Granolah aren't too far behind. They're at 250k, but with Kaioken times 20, which is what they access eventually, they're actually stronger than Vegeta at 5 million. Granted, they can't keep up Kaioken as long, so that's why they're still lower than him. Gohan's at 100,000, and the humans are all around 50k. Vegeta hopes that these powers should be enough. Of course, he can't actually track them because he doesn't have a scouter anymore. But he learns to sense Ki more and more, and the rest of the group is able to gauge how strong everyone is. Sure, they can't actually put it in numbers, but we can. Bulma begins to make a new ship for everyone. This will be a huge ship based on Vegeta's, allowing them to get into space to find Frieza. It will also have a gravity room in it so they can train along the way, because it is going to be kind of a long trip. And Vegeta's pretty intrigued to see how Goku and Granolah have adjusted to Earth life. They even have wives. They found love with Earthlings, and they have friends that are just humans, weak humans? It's so strange. But who knows? Maybe Vegeta will end up in a similar situation if he ends up staying on Earth too. Not that he plans to right now, but hey, he can't predict the future. He's not Bardock. This isn't on his mind now, but anyways. Now, the group feels that they're ready to head out into space and fight Frieza. They all board the ship, departing as they start their journey to defeat the Emperor. Who knows how this will go though? Is Vegeta truly a Super Saiyan yet? And will their collective strength be enough to defeat him? They're unsure and it remains to be seen. As the group drifts through space, Granolah thinks to himself, he's glad. He's finally gonna get that revenge against Frieza that he wanted. This desire of his has been suppressed. The thing is, he grew up much differently here. He didn't have that knowledge of Frieza beforehand like he did in the main story. He just knew that the Saiyans were responsible, and of course he then finds out that Frieza was the one who commanded it. His grudge is particularly more towards the Saiyans, but they're all gone besides Vegeta and Goku. And a few others spread about that he doesn't really know about, but that's besides the point. Now Frieza is his main focus. He could finally do it. Get revenge for all of his people. And Vegeta's pretty much thinking the same thing. Despite the two of them being so different, the two have some similarities. And Vegeta expresses the same thing. Although, Granolah still doesn't really trust him yet. Not fully, at least. But after this, they can go their separate ways and they'll never have to see each other again. The only thing that makes Granolah actually go along with this is the fact that Vegeta wasn't actually present on his planet when everyone died. He can't really hold it against Vegeta if he wasn't there. In that case, he'd have to do the same with Goku. But either way, he just wants to get this over with. They'll be doing a good thing for the universe, and they'll be doing a good thing for him. He'll finally get this off his mind. He'll live a life of peace. He won't have to think about this ever again, hopefully. The group continues their training throughout space, and soon enough, their ship heads towards Frieza's planet. The army on the planet looks on, confused. That's a ship that they don't recognize. They immediately mark it as a threat, and as soon as their ship lands, they're surrounded by Frieza soldiers. Vegeta steps off and simply sticks out a hand, and with one blast, they're all eradicated. The entire planet is on high alert, and with it being a Frieza Force base and all, they have no shortage of soldiers. Goku turns the spaceship into a capsule and keeps it on him. He doesn't want it getting destroyed in the process, and an all-out battle with the Frieza Force begins immediately. This is the first time that they actually get to test their strength in combat after all this training. And against the Frieza Force soldiers, they see how strong they truly are. Vegeta comments, these guys weren't strong to begin with. But everyone, even the weaker parts of the group, they're fighting with relative ease, taking on multiple soldiers without even trying. But he tells them to not get too ahead of themselves. There's still stronger people lurking about, especially Frieza himself. As the group plows through the entire army, Frieza eventually does get word of it. But they've already made significant progress. Zarbon and Dodoria are dead, and the Ginyu Force has been called in, but they're not even here yet. All the strong fighters are gone, so that means Frieza himself has to step in. He doesn't really want to get his hands dirty, but he's angered. So maybe it would be better to do so. They should die by his hand. It would make him pretty happy. But who exactly is attacking him? As Frieza steps out, he sees. And he can immediately tell. This is definitely Vegeta's doing. He sees Vegeta at the front of the group with two other people that look like aliens. One of whom looks like a Saiyan, and one looks like a Cerulean. That makes no sense though. He thought all the Saiyans were dead, same with the Ceruleans. But no. Ah well, he doesn't mind having to finish the job here and now. Especially because they're giving him a reason to. Granolah's acting smart here, and immediately he wants to go in for the kill with Frieza. Vegeta commented that he might be stronger than he puts on. And that makes the group worried. They know Frieza's powerful, but if this isn't the extent of his power, Granolah thinks it would be best to stop him before he gets a chance to transform or whatever. Without even saying anything, he lunges in towards Frieza, attacking him. And Frieza's shocked. This guy's strong. And Granolah, of course, is making use of vital points too. He tries to stun Frieza. And right away, he's able to make some progress. Frieza's there, helpless to fight back. He's being hit in vital points, basically paralyzing him mid-fight. Granolah then sticks a finger out, ready for the kill. But right in the nick of time, there's a distraction. 5 space pods land nearby. And for a split second, Granolah looks away. Frieza's barely able to move, but he taps a foot on the ground, launching himself backwards. What the hell is this guy's power? Had the Ginyu Force not gotten here in time, he would have been killed, something that he didn't even think would be possible. And this just pisses Granolah off. They got in the way of his opportunity. The Ginyu Force jumps in, and before they even have a chance to pose, Granolah shoots 5 well-placed sniper shots, killing each of the Ginyu Force in one hit. Goku's amazed at how fast he's working. He knew this was a big thing for Granolah, but he could tell, from his actions alone, it's way bigger for Granolah than he ever thought, and Vegeta could see it too. They have the same bloodlust. Granolah's has been suppressed, but now that he knows the true enemy, it's been unleashed. And Goku's a bit concerned. He hopes this doesn't get to his head. They've dealt with this before. He knows Granolah's a good person, but he's never really seen this side of him, not for a while at least. But this has always been a part of him, and the one way to get rid of it is to get rid of Frieza. But much to their surprise, this gives Frieza enough time to start transforming. He begins powering up. And Granolah tries to jump in and attack, but Frieza whips him away with his tail, mid-transformation actually. He doesn't go to his second or third form, he jumps right to his final form. He could tell these guys mean business, and this guy, the Cerealian, he might be a little bit too powerful. At least for his first, second, and maybe even third form. He's not too sure, maybe his third form or second form would be enough, but he doesn't want to try it out. He wants to be sure that this guy will die. And he comments on it. He commends them. They almost had him, but it's too little too late now. Thanks to the Ginyu Force, even if they only just accomplished dying, they saved Frieza. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And he tells them, he doesn't care how strong their group is, what weird techniques that Cerealian's using, or how strong Goku and Vegeta are. It won't be enough now. This final form, this is his true power. But Vegeta is just as confident. He tells Frieza, he has something that he might be interested in. Oh? What does he mean by that? Vegeta says he hasn't seen the full extent of their power either, specifically his. He starts powering up, with his power increasing tenfold. And Frieza's actually a bit taken aback by this. Vegeta chuckles, telling Frieza that he's done it. He's ascended his limits and become a Super Saiyan. A Super Saiyan? At first, the words kind of terrify Frieza. And Vegeta has physically changed, so maybe he's not bluffing. But if this is what a Super Saiyan is, Frieza's not really that impressed. This is what he was scared of the whole time? I mean, yeah, it's impressive, but the Saiyans have always had ways of improving their power. That grade 8 form, it lets them get 10 times stronger. And as Frieza looks at his scouter, he could see, Vegeta's 10 times stronger. He laughs, it's just a glorified grade 8 form. But Vegeta continues powering up. He's learned to suppress his ki more and more, and Frieza's scouter explodes. The rest of the group follows suit, powering up as well. Maybe Frieza should take them a little bit more seriously. I mean, that one guy almost killed him. He didn't even get their names, but he doesn't care. He only knows Vegeta. And these randoms, he has no attachment to them. Although that means it won't be as satisfying to kill them. Besides that Cerealian, he does want to make him pay for what he just did right now. Goku and Granolah go into Kaioken. Their multiplier with Kaioken is higher than what Vegeta has with Wrathful, although Wrathful is much more reliable for Vegeta. He grows stronger throughout the fight, not to the extent of Broly, but still he grows stronger. And unlike Kaioken, it's not going to literally tear his body apart to use it. Especially because Vegeta already had perfect control in Grade 8 as I mentioned beforehand, which would probably translate into this form. But that doesn't mean you should ignore Kaioken either. It's still a 20 times boost, and that's just as it is now. And the humans are pretty strong too, but they have no way to increase their power like this. Although, they can't rely on their techniques. Ted and Krillin stand on the front line together, with each of them performing a solar flare. This actually does catch Frieza off guard. He's blinded, and immediately he's attacked. He doesn't know how to react because he can't see anything right now. These parlor tricks, they annoy him. He has to wait for the blindness to wear off. But this is the perfect opening. Everyone attacks him at once. Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, and Granolah's attacks specifically do hurt Frieza. Individually, it's not much, but together, it is a lot. And now Frieza's really pissed. He powers up, creating a shockwave that sends everyone flying back. His vision slowly gets restored. And first, he focuses on Vegeta. This is his doing. So he tries to fight Vegeta alone. And Vegeta comes to see, his power, even with Wrathful, is not enough to face Frieza as he is right now. And Frieza's not actually holding back anymore. He's buffed up considerably. They angered him to the point where he pulled out his 100% power. Normally he wouldn't have done this, but with their tactics, It made Frieza so mad that he decided he wants to kill them in the most brutal way possible, and the only way to do that is to use his full power. Once again, he does commend them, saying that no one's ever forced him to go to this level, let alone his final form. But if they truly want to see how terrifying he is, he'll be glad to show them. Unfortunately for him, he already is a bit injured thanks to Granolah. He landed some pretty critical hits, and transforming doesn't just heal that immediately. That's still going to translate over no matter how strong he is. But his strength is still more than enough. With one single punch, he knocks Vegeta completely unconscious. He's driven deep into the ground, with a massive crater forming, and everyone unsure of what actually happened to him. Thankfully, they can still sense his ki. He's alive, but he's gone unconscious and detransformed. With one attack, Frieza defeated him. This is gonna be bad, really bad. Something that hits Frieza in the back of his head. It feels like nothing though. He turns around, and he sees Yamcha's Spirit Ball. What, is this his ultimate attack? Frieza actually laughs at this. But Yamcha smirks. Just another distraction. Ten and Krillin step in once again, doing another solar flare. Frieza shrieks. He fell for it. Blinded again, this leaves another opening. But this time as they rush in, Frieza's actually quick enough to grab someone. Goku's able to kick him. But Frieza grabs his leg just before it stops making contact with him. He can't see who he grabbed, but he doesn't care. He tells the group he'll make an example out of whoever this is. Whatever his vision clears, he'll be glad to see the face of whoever this is dying. He slams Goku into the ground, repeatedly actually. The others try to attack Frieza again, but he just uses Goku as a weapon, swinging Goku at them, and continuously slamming him into the ground. Goku powers up with Kaioken even more, but he can't escape Frieza's grasp. Quickly, he tries to charge a Kamehameha, launching it point blank at Frieza, but he just tanks it completely. Gohan is enraged beyond belief. He jumps in too, trying to attack Frieza. He gets a small rage boost in power, but even that doesn't seem to be enough. And Frieza grabs onto him too. His vision continues coming back. And now, he can vaguely see. In front of him is the Cerulean, once again with the finger aimed at Frieza, launching a blast as quick as possible. Frieza's vision comes back, but then it disappears in one of his eyes. He feels an immense stinging pain. Granolah shot one of his eyes out. It's brutal, but effective. They're not going to be able to land solar flares again. There's no way Frieza's going to fall for that. But this is a more permanent solution. Of course, this only serves to anger Frieza even more. And he tosses both Goku and Gohan aside, launching towards Granolah himself. Granolah's barely able to jump out of the way with Kaioken. But even with that, his speed doesn't match Frieza's. Frieza's decided he's gonna kill this guy first. He's been the most annoying of anyone here. And next will be those Earthlings that kept blinding him. Goku's on the ground nearby. He looks over to Gohan. He's injured. Thankfully he's okay, but still. Frieza mercilessly beat on him. And he looks over too to Granolah, watching his brother being beaten. And Frieza is still being merciless just like he was with them. If this keeps up, Granolah's gonna die. There's no way he could do this. Even if Goku did step in, he's hurt. He can't use Kaioken too effectively anymore. But he feels something strange inside of him, an anger bubbling up. Seeing his loved ones hurt, his son and his brother, and knowing the fact that they're backed into a corner. He watches on hopeless. He can't do anything to help Granolah. Granolah's always been there to protect Goku, but Goku can't even do the same for him. He's angered beyond belief. Frieza's about to land a finishing blow on Granolah. And at the last second, Granolah powers up. Frieza looks at his face and sees something change. One of his eyes was red before, but now, two of them are red. Quickly, Granolah sticks fingers in front of him, launching repeated machine gun blasts at Frieza's face. Frieza throws his hands up, trying to protect against it, and Granolah keeps launching these attacks. They hurt more now. And he also aims at Frieza's vital points. But just as Granolah awakens, someone else does too. A massive power surges nearby. A brilliant golden light fills the area. Slowly, Vegeta starts to climb out of his crater, now having regained consciousness, and the first thing he sees there, well, it's the real Super Saiyan. Goku's standing there with golden hair. The first thing he does is pick up Gohan, bringing him to the humans. He tells them to watch Gohan for now. He's gonna help Granolah. They have no idea of what happened, but they agree with Goku. He looks terrified. Frieza turns around, and as he does, he's continuously hit in the back by Granolah's blasts. Goku transforming distracted him, and Goku's confused too. Granolah's evolved as well. Granolah's continued attacks knock Frieza towards Goku, and it feels like time slows down for Frieza. As he gets closer to Goku, he makes eye contact. Those eyes, that hair. With one attack, one powerful punch aimed downwards, Frieza is driven right into the ground below. He looks up weakly. Standing above him is a Super Saiyan, and Granolah walks over too, with two red eyes looking down at Frieza. And the brothers look at each other, not even saying anything, but they share a smile. Both of them have evolved, and they're glad that they could do this together. Now, Granolah's power boost isn't as significant as Super Saiyan, but he also powers up into Kaioken on top of it. And the two brothers decide.
Just like Granolah wanted to do before, they're gonna finish this off as quickly as possible. Once again, it's time for their signature move, Turtle School Skeet Shooting. Goku grabs Frieza's tail, spinning him around with immense speed and then flinging him up high into the atmosphere. As he's thrown up into the sky, a shockwave is created from him going so fast, and the rest of the group can't even keep up with it. And within an instant, it's over. Both Goku and Granolah are moving so fast. They just see blurs of golden and red light, followed by a massive explosion. And the two brothers land back on the ground, calmly. They power down, looking at each other and then at the group. They smile, giving a thumbs up. They defeated Frieza, together. Now being victorious, the group could finally head home. There's one thought that stays in their mind. If Goku's the true Super Saiyan, what's that form that Vegeta had? It's weaker than Super Saiyan, so it's not like they're too interested in getting it, but still, they wonder what it really is. Vegeta says he's been wrong this whole time, and he kind of expected it too. Ever since he achieved it, he thought, this couldn't truly be Super Saiyan. There's no way Super Saiyan is only this strong. Sure, the form is great, but he thought Super Saiyan would be much more. This is no different than the power of a great ape. And Vegeta comes up with a theory. All he was doing was using the power of a great ape in the humanoid form. Again, still a great improvement, but it's no Super Saiyan. Although it does leave some potential for things in the future. Maybe he could unlock Super Saiyan. And who knows, with his unique power to access the great ape's power, who knows what different heights he could reach. Oh yeah, by the way, he is heading back to Earth with them. He has nowhere else to go, and he tells them plainly, he wants to learn more about Super Saiyan. He's coming with them. The group arrives back on Earth. Naturally, Vegeta is going to continue working with Wrathful. And as for Goku, he's going to try and use Super Saiyan more and more. It takes a bit of time, but at some point, he is able to access it at will, which is a huge development for him. Now he just needs to learn to get a better control in it, make it more efficient, make it stronger. And Granolah looks on, a little bit jealous. He's proud of his brother, no doubt. But he wonders too, is there any height he can achieve that's like that? What if there's like a Super Cerulean or something? He doesn't know. He did get an awakening. He awakened his second eye to become red as well. It came with a bit of a power increase and his abilities increased a ton. But there's only so much that can do. Although he still does have something else he could work on. While Goku's working with Super Saiyan, he loses focus on Kaioken, something that Granolah definitely would work on. And remember, unlike with Super Saiyan, Granolah could use this while activating both of his red eyes. Who knows though? Each of them is heading down a different path, with Goku also training Gohan too. And at some point, Trunks is going to be old enough to train with them. Now remember, this is a much different Trunks. He is half human, but he's also half Cerulean instead of Saiyan. He actually begins training with Gohan and Granolah. Gohan is older than him, but not by a significant amount. They'd probably grow a nice bond, getting stronger together and becoming good friends. Actually, since Goku and Granolah consider themselves brothers, they're basically cousins. And Granolah could definitely tell. He seems to have a good amount of potential as a hybrid Cerulean. Granolah trains him early on. He wants Trunks to get a good control on sniping. He's got to learn to utilize his Cerulean abilities to their fullest. Just like Goku wants Gohan to use his Saiyan abilities. With Frieza's defeat, of course, King Cold is going to search out the people that killed him. Granted, he's not necessarily distraught over Frieza's death, but he does want to seek revenge. It takes a while, especially without Frieza's direction, but he is able to find Earth. From the data they gathered from the base, they're able to find the general direction the ship came from, and by scouting a bunch of these different powers, they're able to locate these energy signatures. Eventually finding Earth, heading there. King Cold shows up, ready to cause some havoc. He doesn't necessarily know what happened that led to Frieza's death, but whatever happened there, he won't let it happen here. At least that's what he thinks. Because the second he arrives on Earth, he's met with an abundance of strong fighters. Goku and Granolah aren't even the ones to fight him. Vegeta actually steps up to the plate, utilizing his wrathful form. It's no Super Saiyan, but he could tell, he's on the cusp of it. And he tells King Cold, even with this power alone, he'll come out victorious. King Cold laughs. Vegeta's barely even transformed. Oh wow, he bulked himself up a bit and his eyes changed color. What a terrifying transformation. But Vegeta laughs at this mockery, powering up, showing his full strength. He lunges towards King Cold, and with a single punch, he punches right through the king, unleashing a massive blast inside him. King Cold is critically wounded. He stumbles back, surprised that Vegeta was able to do that. He looks down at the gaping hole in his chest, and he looks up trying to look back at Vegeta, but he's gone. He then hears Vegeta behind him, only hearing the words Big Bang Attack. Before he can even turn around and see what's coming towards him, it's already too late. King Cold is eradicated just like that. And Vegeta's content, very content. Frieza's dead, and he got to kill King Cold himself, so that's even better. Plus, even though Wrathful is no Super Saiyan, it's still pretty fun to use.
He's got an amazing control over it. It doesn't have the stamina issues that Kakarot's having with Super Saiyan. That doesn't mean Vegeta's not going to pursue Super Saiyan. He still is going to. It's just that he's not going to forget Wrathful in the process. As you could probably tell, a lot of things are changing so far with how this part of the story is beginning. There's no time traveler here. And there's a few differences that I do want to cover. Well, for one, Goku is not going to have the heart virus here. Now, there's two theories as to how he got it. Obviously, there's people that say he got it from Yardrat, but there's also the theory that he got it from how he grew up as a kid. He did grow up in the woods basically like a wild animal. And I usually use that explanation for why he got the heart virus. But here, neither of those happened. Grandpa Gohan lived the entire time, and Goku never grew up like a feral animal, basically. And he never did go to Yardrat either. Neither theory would apply here, so he never got the heart virus. Meaning, Goku's pretty much fine. But there is another elephant in the room, the androids. They are still being developed. But again, as you could probably guess, things are going to go very differently here. Another big change is Cell. With no time travelers, Cell's not going to show up from another timeline. But he still is being developed here. It's going to take a while for him to awaken though. And thankfully for him, he has a ton of data to work off of. He has all the Saiyans, he has Granolah, he has Namekian DNA, and with King Cold coming to Earth, he has his DNA too. But thankfully they don't have to worry about him for a while, although that's a double-edged sword. The longer he waits, the stronger he's going to get. And even though we're not going to see him just yet, keep that in mind. Cell will show up eventually. Much more time passes. The training isn't taken that seriously. Of course, everyone's still going to keep their training going. There's no reason to stop, but there's also no reason to keep training as much as they are. There's no enemy that they know of that's motivating them. But they still do have their own motivations. Goku's trying to get a better grasp on Super Saiyan, as well as teaching it to Gohan. Granolah's trying to unlock a new form for himself, but at the very least, he wants to improve Kaioken. And as for Vegeta, he's also looking for Super Saiyan. So, training still does continue, but not to the extent that it did in the main story when they heard of the androids. A lot of time passes. Many years, actually. And at some point, the group hears news of a city being attacked. It's very random out of the blue. Two seemingly normal-looking twins are attacking, just blowing everything up somehow. I don't think I need to explain to you guys why that's concerning. These definitely are potential threats. Maybe whoever these two villains are looking for the group. And even if not, they're gonna encounter them eventually. It seems they're just destroying stuff at random for fun. So whoever these two are, it definitely would be worthwhile fighting them. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but also, it's gonna lead to a fun battle. The entire group of fighters arrives in the city. Encountering the twins, it's Androids 17 and 18, and they're elated. They're glad to see the welcoming party here, especially with Goku. That's exactly who they're looking for, and he came right to them. It makes things that much better. And Goku could tell that these guys are bad news. They knew these two were villains, but this just confirms it. He can clearly see the Red Ribbon logo. That's who these guys are. And they explain as well, they're androids. The ultimate projects created by the Red Ribbon Army, here to kill Goku and Granolah. They remember too, they destroyed the Red Ribbon Army, but apparently someone did escape. 17 tells him not to worry though. That guy that escaped, they actually just killed him. They don't want him controlling them. And while they were made to be in allegiance with the Red Ribbon Army, they're just gonna do their own thing. But they still do want to kill Goku and Granolah. It's part of their programming, and it will be a lot of fun for them to fight these two. But Goku warns them. He tells them it won't be an easy battle. He and Granolah are so much stronger than anything the Red Ribbon Army encountered before, including themselves as kids. He powers up into Super Saiyan, and Granolah activates his red eyes. They beckon for the androids to fight them, and the two rush in. Goku and Granolah face 17 and 18, and immediately becomes apparent. These androids are much stronger than they expected. Even one of them alone could probably hold the two of them off. They're gonna have to rethink their strategy. They can't sense how strong these androids are, so they don't really know how to gauge their power. And on top of that, they apparently have infinite energy. They're not gonna run out of stamina during this battle. But luckily, there's a few things working in their favor. For one, Granolah still has access to looking at vital points. And with his evolved red eyes, the ability is just that much more potent. And he knows, inside these two androids, there's one weird vital point. It's a bomb. If they're able to detonate those bombs, they'll be able to kill the androids. But they have to figure out a way to actually do that first. The androids are just so strong that Granolah can't even get a good hit in. They're so fast, and they can see through their moves. And they know of Granolah's abilities, so they keep that in mind and try to counter it somehow. But there's a couple of other things working in their favor. One of that being the fact that there's another Super Saiyan here, not just Goku. Vegeta too. He's been waiting to try this out. He sees how the fight's going, and decides it would be better to have another Super Saiyan there. By this point, he's definitely unlocked the form, and this will be the perfect opportunity to showcase it. He powers up, which actually surprises the two androids. They weren't aware that Vegeta had Super Saiyan, but it doesn't matter. They'll be able to kill these guys. It won't be too bad. The three of them face the androids, and the twins start showing off more of their power. the fight gets more intense. Granolah didn't want to use it right away, but he even has to activate Kaioken, which he could use at much higher levels now. He has it up to times 40, which is very stressful, but it's still a thing, so he wants to utilize it. It's a powerful boost, but a risky one. Although he could use times 20 just fine. He's actually surprised. He's the weakest of the three now. With Vegeta having Super Saiyan, he's fallen behind even further. Sure, with Kaioken times 40 plus the double red eyes, in terms of raw strength, yeah, he might match Vegeta, or even be a little bit above him, but that's not maintainable. He can't utilize Kaioken at that high level for so long. This is why he wanted to see if there was anything else he could access, another form possibly, but he's not sure. Although, he did evolve before, getting that second red eye, so maybe there's something else. Maybe it's not just that, maybe there's a form that Cerealians can access, and this battle might be the perfect opportunity for it. I mean, look at the Super Saiyans. It came out of necessity and intense emotions. Granolah's experiencing those two exact things here right now. Sure, the three of them are powerful, and even if the rest of the group joins in, they're strong together. But the androids still have the edge. They need more power, and he doesn't know how else to attain it. Of course, the androids are biased towards killing Goku and Granolah. They barely focus on Vegeta, but he does get in the way and is pretty annoying. First, they turn towards Goku, who seems to be the strongest of them. 17 attacks Vegeta, and 18 attacks Granolah, with each trying to get those two fighters out of the way so they could focus on Goku alone. And these attacks are powerful. Vegeta and Granolah definitely feel it. And Granolah watches on hopeless. The two androids are beating on Goku, and no matter how hard he's fighting, he can't counter them. And Granolah feels something he hasn't felt in a while, intense rage. He felt it against Frieza, and he's felt it before when he's seen Goku in danger. But that rage is also internal, not just directed towards the androids, but towards himself. He can't do anything to stop this. He's not strong enough. He could try sniping, but it's not going to do anything. He needs more power. He has to protect Goku. At any cost, he can't let his brother die. And think even beyond that. The androids, they put Bulma and Trunks at risk too. The rest of his friends and family here. Grandpa Gohan, Roshi, all those people. Granolah stands up. He lunges back in towards the androids, who easily knock him away. But he gets up again, and again, and again. They keep trying to knock him down, but he stands back up. Even utilizing Kaioken at higher levels. And at some point, something within him snaps. He screams. An intense rage overcomes him, and he undergoes a strange change. His hair changes color. Both of his eyes are red by default, and even his aura changes too, as his hair begins flowing. Everyone looks on with complete confusion, even Granolah himself. What is this? Granolah doesn't even think about what's happening. Immediately, he goes for the androids, utilizing this new power. A combination of the strength provided by the transformation, as well as his ability to locate vital points helps him win. Just as quickly as it happens, Android 18 is killed. A massive explosion occurs as he activates the bomb inside him, and amidst the confusion, he works just as quickly with Android 17. It's over in a flash, and Granolah just stands there stunned. It was all an instinct, basically. Vegeta and Goku look on confused too. What is that? Granolah stands there speechless, trying to process what happened. Is Super Cerealian a real thing? Cell is still in development, but we won't be seeing him for a while. In the future timeline, he awakened years after the androids were defeated, so even if we pushed back his arrival and made him awaken earlier, it would be a little too early, so don't expect him to come around until Super. Although that should be an obvious hint of who the last villain of the series will be. Don't forget about him though. Following the battle with the androids, Granolah wants to learn more about this form that he unlocked. It essentially seems like his version of Super Saiyan, so he just calls it Super Cerealian. Of course, I know this isn't actually a thing in the story. Well, at least at the time of recording. For all I know, he could get this form in the story. I'm recording this in May, so I don't know. Maybe it could happen. But I want to even the playing field a bit. And his Super Cerealian form is actually probably better than Super Saiyan, because it also has his double red eyes alongside it. Something that actually does exist as an awakening for Cerealians. And as Granolah works more with this form, he realizes how much it enhances all of his senses. It worked against the androids, obviously, allowing him to locate vital points for the bombs and activate them, which is part of the reason he defeated them so quickly. But also, all his other senses besides his vision are better. Well, his vision is better too, but he could also track things he couldn't before. His hearing, his smell, his taste, his touch. And of course, in battles, some things like taste aren't really going to matter too much unless you're Tao. But a lot of the other stuff could really help. His enhanced sight and hearing allows him to pick up on things that he couldn't pick up on before. Subtle movements that allow him to predict what people are about to do. This is also combined with the speed boost that he gets from getting this form. So it allows him to react to things a lot more quickly, and predict things before they could even happen. But what about the Saiyans? Well, Vegeta's not really attached to Earth, and he wants to learn more about Super Saiyan as well as Wrathful. And instead of having the desire to stay here,
He's actually going to go out in space just on his own. He says he'll return to Earth eventually, but for now, he's going to do his own form of training. Maybe he could find some answers out there in the solitude of space. Really, it's just Vegeta being overdramatic and being Vegeta. But also on this journey out in space, he does think he could find some things out about himself. Specifically the two forms he has, maybe an awakening to them. Plus, there is somebody that he wants to meet up with out there. It is a long shot, but a while ago his brother was sent away, for also being too weak. And I mean, Kakarot was pretty weak, and he grew up to be very strong here. Who knows? Maybe Tarbell's incredibly powerful, so Vegeta's gonna seek him out. He can acquire that same brotherly bond that Goku and Granolah have. Although that's not his main purpose for seeking Tarbell out. He wants to train with him. Maybe he's powerful. As for Goku and Gohan, and eventually Goten even, their normal training continues. That's another huge change here. Goku didn't die during that arc. Soon enough, Gohan would be able to unlock Super Saiyan, but Goku and Gohan still want to go beyond it. As Goku continues training Gohan with his form, he realizes there's evolutions to Super Saiyan that he could utilize. Grade 2, Grade 3, Grade 4 even, eventually when they master it. But this doesn't seem to be the end of it. For all they know, they could even evolve Super Saiyan further. And of course, Goku has some great training partners. Besides Gohan growing a lot stronger, he still does have Granolah, the person he's trained with for a while. The two of them can grow off each other. Granolah can keep working on Super Cerealian, improving that in whatever way possible, and Goku can continue to evolve Super Saiyan. Years and years go by, leading up to a brand new tournament that's been announced. Of course, everyone here would love to join a tournament. Gohan still does meet Videl, and she's the one that brings this up to him. And once Goku and Granolah get word of it, of course they want to join. It should actually be more interesting this time. Not just because of how strong everyone is, but actually, yeah, because of how strong everyone is. In the older tournaments, there weren't too many people that can contend with Goku and Granolah. Granolah even reaches out to Tenshinhan to see if he wants to join. And of course, Krillin ends up joining too. So besides the two of them being able to fight each other, they're going to be fighting their older rivals. And there's also Gohan on the tournament, plus some other strong people too. So it might not be as much of a wash as it originally was. Even Trunks would join. Remember, Trunks is a very different person here since he's half Cerealian instead of being a half Saiyan, and Granolah's his father, not Vegeta. But most importantly, he was born a lot earlier, and he's actually closer to Gohan's age than Goten's. He's even going to be joining the tournament. Unfortunately, he hasn't unlocked Super Cerealian yet, but he's on the path to doing so. The tournament begins and immediately chaos ensues. At first, the chaos isn't too bad, it's just people being completely washed by the Z Fighters. But then the real chaos begins once Gohan steps up to the plate. As Granolah's watching, he notices something strange. Remember how he said he could pick up on movements before they even happen? Well, that's occurring here. He hears someone shift their muscles as if they're ready to attack. And using his red eye, he's able to locate it. Actually, he activates both of them, just to make sure he can find out whatever's about to happen. But by the time it occurs, it's already too late. He tries to launch a blast, sniping whoever's about to attack Gohan. And it does hit someone. Spopovich jumps in front of the blast while Yamu attacks Gohan. There's a massive explosion from the attack, and in the aftermath, they see Gohan getting his energy drained. Shin and Kibito's plan worked, and now, Yamu returns back to Babidi's ship as quick as he can. Granolah's about to attack him again, same with Goku, but then Shin and Kibito stop them, revealing who they are, what's happening, and why they shouldn't kill him. At least, not yet. Spopovich weakly gets up. Granolah didn't launch the attack to kill him, just to paralyze him. And as he stands up, they all try to get info out of him. But he laughs at the idea that they think they could defeat Babidi. And he's not going to tell them anything. He jumps up, trying to fly away, but before he can, Granolah effortlessly snipes him out of the sky. He honestly thinks this is kind of a stupid plan. Same for Goku. I mean, they could have followed Spopovich, even with Granolah stopping him. They didn't need Gohan's energy to get absorbed. These guys are having a pretty bad first impression, especially with them being so weak in comparison to everybody. They probably won't even be able to do anything against Boo if he is an issue. And the concerning part is they actually did get a lot of energy. By this point, Gohan has Super Saiyan 2, same for Goku. And he hasn't really stopped training, so he's probably stronger than he is in the main story. Which means Spopovich and Yamu, or at least just Yamu, got a lot of energy. So they need to work quickly and get to the ship. And by the time they get there, they encounter Deborah. And once again, Granolah's senses kick in, hearing something that's about to happen before it happens. Deborah launches a sneak attack on Kibito, but Granolah is able to protect him, jumping in front of the Kai, trying to strike one of Deborah's vital points. And he's able to do this, but at the same time, Deborah is able to launch his blast, with the two of them attacking each other at the same time, point blank. Granolah tells him to head into the ship. He'll fight this guy. And even though Vegeta and Piccolo aren't in this group, it's actually bigger because instead of Vegeta and Piccolo, they have Granolah, Trunks, and Tenshinhan. Trunks stays back with Granolah, willing to help them fight Deborah, while everyone else heads into the ship.
Kibito and Shin warn Granolah to make this quick. The more they fight, the more energy they're giving off. And he powers up in his Super Cerulean, with Trunks assuming a battle stance beside him, activating his second red eye. Even though he wasn't able to unlock this form yet, he's still got a second red eye, which will definitely be helpful here. Granolah tells the Kais he'll be fine. But inside the ship, there's an issue. They notice that there's power surging at the very bottom floor. All that ki that was stolen from Gohan. It's being given to Buu right now, and on top of that, the battle between Dabura, Granolah, and Trunks. There's so much energy being gathered. Of course, Pui Pui's defeated easily, but by the time they make it to Yakon, it already seems like it's too late. While Goku prepares to fight him, the ship starts shaking. A massive cloud of steam erupts from the bottom of the ship, going through every floor, completely destroying them. The group jumps out quick, and on the outside, Granolah, Trunks, and Dabura are distracted by this. And Dabura laughs. He's done it. Babidi's revived Buu. But his confidence quickly goes away. Once he actually sees Buu, he realizes this might have not been the great idea they thought it was. He looks stupid. He looks like such an oaf. He's mindlessly running around. It's like a child. But that's not the concerning part. The concerning part is he has that great power with the mind of a child. And Dabura starts to tell Babidi, was this really the greatest idea? And Babidi tells Dabura to be silent. And these comments actually kind of anger Buu. They sound so disloyal to Babidi. And Buu decides to handle Dabura, immediately attacking him. Of course, Dabura tries to fight back, but surprisingly, two other people join him, Granolah and Trunks. Strange how quickly Babidi turned on Dabura. It seems he was disposable, and Dabura sees the error of their ways. And in an enemy of my enemy situation, Dabura actually starts to fight Buu alongside them. He reminds them this doesn't mean they're allies, just that they're all working to kill Buu. And the rest of the group jumps in too, with Krillin and Tenshinhan remaining on the sidelines. It's incredible how much both of their rivals have grown, and their kids as well. And they're concerned about getting in the way here, especially once they see what Buu does once Goku and Gohan join the fight. Buu's pretty pissed off by this. He's outnumbered so much. And you know what? He's gonna even the playing field. And Granolah can already tell something bad's about to happen. Buu makes a subtle movement, meaning he's preparing for an attack, but Granolah can't tell what kind of attack it is. It almost feels like he's about to launch a blast. So he tells Goku and Gohan to look out. And Buu does launch a beam at them. But they make a fatal mistake here. Goku tries to counter it with his own blast, but this isn't any normal beam. The beam cuts right through the Kamehameha, hitting Goku head on. And he's turned into a cookie. Everyone's stomach drops, especially Granolah. What did they do to Goku? And Buu casually walks over to Goku, eating the cookie. Of course, this sends Gohan into a fit of rage, and he tries to blindly fight Buu, with a power boost too from this anger. And Buu decides that snack wasn't really good enough, so he turns Gohan into candy as well, eating him, with the rest of the group looking on speechless. And Buu begins morphing. The power that he got from eating these two. These weren't just any normal snacks. These were powerful snacks, and they start to affect him. And instead of Buu eating them and digesting them like normal food, God, that sounds disgusting to say, they start being assimilated within him. Buu undergoes a change. Instead of splitting up into good Buu and evil Buu, then turning into Super Buu, he just immediately turned into Super Buu, with the powers of Goku and Gohan. Granolah is equally angered just like Gohan, and he's about to jump in the battle, but Dabura then grabs his arm, dragging him away as well as Trunks. And as they escape, Shin and Kibito teleport in, also holding on to Krillin and Tenshinhan. And they're all teleported back to the tournament. They can't fight Buu as he is now. And Buu also has a different motivation in mind at the moment. With Goku and Gohan in him, plus with all this great power, why does he need to listen to Babidi? Instead, he wants to have a fun battle, testing his power, showing that he's the strongest in the universe, and then he'll go around and destroy everything. He still needs to kill Dabura, and he also wants to kill Granolah while he's at it. Or even better, absorb them, take their power for himself too. So he simply kills Babidi, and now there's a weird group trying to fight against Buu. It's Granolah, Trunks, Tenshinhan, Krillin, and Dabura. Of course, Shin and Kibito too. Dabura is still evil, but it's good to at least have one more person on their side. And he tries to theorize ways that they could stop Buu. He could even sense Babidi being killed, and he knows that's bad news. Buu is a free agent now. He can do whatever he wants. He's not being controlled by Babidi. And even if Babidi were still here, he probably wouldn't be strong enough to control Buu as he is now. But what are they supposed to do? Buu is just too powerful. But Granolah recalls something that he saw. Every fighter that he's ever fought has some sort of vital point, and he noticed Buu had some too. And with both of his red eyes, he noticed something. He might have found a way to free Gohan and Goku. He noticed two small areas in Buu's stomach, which is probably where Goku and Gohan are being stored. They're not dead, they're just being held captive inside there basically. And there might be a way to free them, but he's not too sure. And even if there is, what are they supposed to do against Buu right now?
He's far too powerful for them to face. But as they're trying to think of what to do, they're interrupted by something. Granolah looks up in the sky, seeing two ships heading towards Earth. The Kais and Deborah have no idea of what that is. Great, more trouble. But actually it's the opposite. The other four realize what it is. Those ships, one of the powers on them is Vegeta. He's back. But why is there another ship with him? While out in space, Vegeta was able to sense everyone preparing for the tournament a few weeks ago, and decided it would probably be best to head out. He wondered why they were training so intensely, and why he could feel their powers all the way out here. And he arrived just in the nick of time for the tournament. Although he didn't even know there was a tournament going on. He just assumed there was some threat on Earth, and decided it was time to head back. And he's bringing a new friend with him. The group flies out to where the ship's about to land. And as the two land in unison, they watch as Vegeta steps off with someone that looks pretty similar to him, but also a little bit different. And Vegeta has a look of bewilderment on his face, seeing Deborah, Kibito, and Shin, and not knowing what the hell's happening with the rest of the group. And the group looks on equally confused as he introduces his brother, Tarble. But Vegeta asks, what did he just walk into? Granolah is a bit shocked to find out that Vegeta has a brother, especially when he sees Tarble because he doesn't really act like Vegeta. They seem like polar opposites, well, at least compared to how Vegeta was beforehand. He's calmed down a bit, but is still Vegeta. Vegeta introduces them to Tarble and also asks who that other guy is. It's Deborah. Oh cool, they have a new ally? Not exactly. He's someone from the Demon Realm or something? Granolah doesn't really know. He's definitely not a good guy. He tried to help revive Majin Buu. Wait, Majin Buu? Oh yeah, Vegeta has a lot to be caught up on, so exposition, and now everybody's caught up with each other. And that actually gets Granolah thinking, what are they gonna do with Deborah once they actually defeat Buu? He's definitely gonna turn on them, so they're gonna need to act quickly. But for now, they just need to focus on defeating the Majin. He powers up in a Super Cerulean, with Vegeta going Super Saiyan, joining in the fight. They need to distract Buu somehow. Granolah just needs to hit his vital points in order to free the other people inside him. Actually, he's not too sure how it'll work, but it seems like their best bet for now. If someone can draw attention away from him, it'll allow Granolah to strike efficiently. With his enhanced perception in this form, he can see exactly where he needs to strike. But him alone won't be enough. He, Deborah, and Vegeta rush in. As Buu gets closer and closer to the location, with no more words being exchanged. Buu's a bit surprised to see Vegeta here. He came out of nowhere, but whatever, it's not gonna really change anything. Actually, this might be good. He could absorb Vegeta. But Vegeta says that's not gonna happen. He shows even more strength, going into Super Saiyan 2. Of course, this is no issue for Buu, but he notices Vegeta's drawing all the attention towards him. He knows Granolah's trying to plan something, but it's already too late. He strikes Buu in a vital point, and Buu doesn't really feel much pain, but he feels something. In the area where Granolah struck him, it was where Goku was being contained. That little pod that he was being stored in, well, it breaks. And Buu starts to feel a lot weaker. He still has Gohan at least, but he doesn't know what happened. His side then explodes, with Goku then bursting out back to full size. He's a bit disoriented, but looks around. Oh great, Granolah was able to help. Deborah is a bit concerned though, because now he knows that Buu's gonna do anything. He's gonna get desperate. He still has Gohan, which means he's still pretty powerful. It's good that he's not as powerful as before, but just because he lost Goku doesn't mean he's weak. Individually, he's still stronger than anyone, although with a collective effort, they might be able to overpower him and free Gohan next. Granolah tends to Goku as Vegeta and Deborah begin attacking together. A very weird combination that can't really work too well together, but it at least holds Buu off. And Goku's ready to jump back in. He powers up, with he and Granolah rushing in once more. Freeing Goku was one thing, but now with Goku on their side and Buu being weaker, it's actually easier to free Gohan. It doesn't take nearly as long. And even though Buu knows it's coming, it's a lot harder to defend against. And once again, Granolah strikes him. But Granolah notices there's not just Gohan in there, there's two other people. What he doesn't know is that they've long since been assimilated with Buu. It's the two Kais that he absorbed beforehand. But he strikes these vital points too, thinking that Buu must have absorbed more people that they didn't know about. And sure enough, two more people are freed from Buu, but they don't know who they are. Although Shin and Kibito recognize immediately. The South Kai and the Grand Supreme Kai. Shin immediately rushes over towards them to make sure they're safe. Okay, well, that definitely should do it, and the group prepares for what's about to happen. Gohan is retrieved and eventually regains consciousness, and Buu begins morphing. He never did have the split between evil and good Buu, and not to mention, the two Kais within him are freed. So he reverts back to his purest state, Kid Buu. Even though he looks smaller, they can definitely tell he's a lot more intimidating because he's completely unrestrained, although he has way less power than before, so this should be okay. But with him being so unrestrained, it is a little bit tougher to fight him. He's very unpredictable, which is both good and bad. He's fighting very sloppy, but also they don't know what his next move will be. Individually, he's actually outclassed by Goku, Gohan, and Granolah, but it's going to be hard to completely destroy him. And Granolah has an idea. He's not too sure if it'll work. It's something that he learned a while ago, but wasn't really sure if he could actually pull off anyways. He lifts up his hands. He tells the group to lend him energy. It might be a little bit overkill, but this will work. This will definitely erase every little bit of Boo. That is, if Granolah is able to pull it off. Goku knows he could do it, but hey, if Granolah wants to try it, he'll let him. And now, Granolah is actually able to start charging energy. He's amazed. Beforehand, he wasn't sure if he had a pure heart for it. He felt a little bit of malice in there, but he's changed so much. He has a much more solid mind. And it's not like he was ever really a bad guy. He just had some malice within him. But now he's able to fully charge this. And as the group fights Boo and lends energy to Granolah, the Spirit Bomb gets lower and lower to the ground. Granolah draws it in towards him, compressing it. Granolah powers back up into Super Cerealian, and he draws his hands in front of him, holding the Spirit Bomb in between it. Compressed so it's way smaller than before, but still incredibly powerful. He never really liked these big flashy attacks. He prefers precision. And it's a bit hard to control. The Spirit Bomb is powerful even though it's small. But he yells to the group, now's the time. They move out of the way, having completely overwhelmed Boo, who's just sitting there. He tries to recollect himself to move out of the way, because next he sees Granolah lunging towards him with the Spirit Bomb right in front. Both hands are in front of him as he holds the Spirit Bomb, and he stops briefly in front of Boo. He takes the Spirit Bomb in one hand, lunging it right into a vital point, just for extra reassurance. Boo punches Granolah square in the face, but he feels nothing, and Boo's arm begins to disintegrate. He tries to punch with his other arm, panicked, but that arm starts disintegrating too. Blue energy collapses in towards Boo, with Granolah and everyone else quickly jumping back. Boo starts glowing as more energy comes in towards him, and then explodes out. It's a potent attack, and of course it erases every little bit of Boo. That was a really close call, but they did it. They defeated the Majin, although that doesn't mean that everything's over. There still is a pretty big loose end, and his name is Deborah. So amidst everyone's celebration, the group quickly remembers that they need to deal with this guy somehow because they don't know what they're supposed to do with Deborah. I mean, they don't need to kill him right away, he hasn't turned on them yet. But as they look to find him, as soon as they killed Majin Buu, Deborah just left Earth, sneaking out completely unnoticed. This does worry Shin and Kibito, and eventually the other two Kais that wake up. It's weird, they were unconscious in Buu for millions of years, but Shin and Kibito will catch them up on everything. But Goku tells Shin and Kibito not to worry. If Deborah does become a problem, which he probably will, they'll definitely be able to handle him. There's a reason Deborah escaped. He couldn't fight them as he is now, if he wanted to at least. They don't know what his intentions are, what he's gonna do now out in space. Maybe he will come back, maybe he won't. Maybe he'll be just as evil, maybe he'll be good. And they have no idea, but that uncertainty will drive them. Their work is still not done. There's still threats out there lurking about. But at least they can take solace in the fact that Majin Buu has been defeated. And now that Vegeta's here, he decides he's gonna stay back on Earth again. Tarbell actually seems to like this planet too, and he blends in with the people a lot more than Tech. He's introduced to Goku and Gohan, as well as Trunks and everybody else. So, what now? Well, we enter a brief time skip, going into Battle of Gods. Soon enough, Beerus will wake up and come towards Earth. And I'll be honest here, the arc's not really going to change too much, but the results of it will change a lot going forward. So, the Super Saiyan God is created, that being Goku. The ritual is actually the exact same, just replace Trunks with Tarbell. Everyone else remains the same. And Goku watches on, glad to see his brother getting this strong. But it also makes him feel a bit left behind. Well, he's glad that his brother surpassed him again, that's not really a bad thing. He likes to see Goku pushing his limits, growing even stronger. And Goku and him have kind of been neck and neck for a while, but now this cements the fact that Goku's ahead. And it's not even close, he's ahead by a lot. And this opens up a lot of doors. For the rest of the Saiyans, they could potentially get God Ki, getting these godly forms as well. Although he's not too sure if Goten or Gohan are going to do it. And he knows for a fact that Tarbell's definitely not, but Vegeta, he could definitely see that happening. But it makes Granolah wonder, where could he go next? Is Super Cerealian his limit? I mean, if it works like Super Saiyan, which he isn't too sure because he's the only one in existence, but if Super Cerealian does work like Super Saiyan, maybe he could find a Super Cerealian 2, Super Cerealian 3, Super Cerealian whatever, he doesn't know. The sky's the limit. He just needs to work more with it, getting a better understanding of how the form functions. The thing is, by default, it feels already stronger than Super Saiyan. He's tested this against Goku. Obviously, Super Cerealian's my own thing here, so there's nothing really to base the lore on. But in my mind, I would say it's a better version of Super Saiyan, really.
It gives a huge boost in power to the Cerulean, but also, you have the double Red-Eyed Awakening, so by default, it's already better than Super Saiyan. But maybe not better than Super Saiyan 2. So it's sufficient, definitely very powerful, and Granola's been growing very strong with it. But he wants to go further, and he knows he can. It's not just him either. He's gonna train Trunks this way too. Trunks is still on the path of unlocking Super Cerulean. It's a bit tough for him. But Granolah knows that he can do it. And who knows, Trunks will probably even have more power than him, being a hybrid and all. Apparently with hybrid Saiyans, they grow a lot stronger, so who's to say it's not the same with hybrid Ceruleans? Beerus is much more focused on Super Saiyan God, ending up taking Goku as a student for Whis. Vegeta's actually surprisingly left behind. He doesn't have a big obsession with being a rival to Goku or whatever, and while Super Saiyan God does look interesting, Vegeta still wants to work for something else. He has his wrathful form from a while back, and with Super Saiyan 2 now, he's trying to think of ways to make them work together. They're completely separate forms, so who knows? Channeling the two powers could lead to something interesting. But mostly, Beerus doesn't really offer him to go on the planet anyways, just because Goku is so much further ahead, even before getting Super Saiyan God. But it's fine, Vegeta will train here, and he has the perfect rival, Granolah. This actually works out pretty well for everyone. As for Trunks, he trains a lot with Gohan, and they work really well together. As I mentioned earlier in the story, the two of them are pretty close, so they definitely would love to train together. And of course, Granola's working with them too, but now they have Vegeta, and Vegeta's the perfect rival for Granolah. They're around the same strength, and they're both looking to surpass their limits right now, but neither has an idea of how to do so. But given enough time and intense training, they definitely can do it. While Goku's off on Beerus' planet learning more about Super Saiyan God and anything above it, training starts on Earth, and a lot of progress is made in the time that Goku's gone. Not just with our heroes either, but also villains. The Frieza Force has been keeping tabs on Earth, at least the little bit of it that's left, and they have intel on the Dragon Balls. It'll be perfect. They can use these to revive their Emperor, bring him back stronger than before, and make the Frieza Force prominent again. Unfortunately for them, they don't know how much everyone on Earth has been developing. Once Frieza's back, he's immediately ready to get revenge. He does a little bit of training, but he doesn't really want to do too much. He's itching to get back there and kill that Cerulean and that Saiyan, the two that embarrassed him so badly. He has them where he wants them. Although it turns out Goku's not actually on the planet, but Granolah is. Which makes Frieza want to rush even more because who knows if he'll leave. And it seems that Vegeta's there too, so hey, even if he doesn't get one Saiyan, he's gonna get the other, as well as Goku's sons. Once Frieza's army arrives on Earth, the group's actually pretty elated, especially Granolah and Vegeta. This is the perfect test for their power. They've wanted to test their new strength, but didn't really have an opportunity to battle anyone, which is obviously good. That means Earth hasn't been under threat of anybody. But also, come on, they want a real battle once in a while. And Frieza's the perfect person to test it out against. The person they despise so much. The fact that he's back irks them in general. But they're not worried. They know they can defeat Frieza. As soon as Frieza's army shows up, well, they're pretty quickly eliminated, and then Frieza himself steps out. He's annoyed to see these two standing there waiting for him. And they look so cocky. Frieza chuckles. They don't know the extent of his power now. But Granolah says the same. Frieza doesn't know how strong they've gotten. And Vegeta comments, Frieza was killed by this crew once. They'll be able to kill him again, actually a lot faster this time. So if Frieza really is stronger, they're not going to risk letting him get any stronger than he is now. Frieza goes into his final form, ready to call their bluff. But immediately, these two transform as well. Granolah gets a mildly different form, transforming into Super Cerulean 2. Frieza didn't even know he had a Super Cerulean form, but this is something else. And Vegeta, he powers up into something completely different too. He calls it Wrathful Super Saiyan, a combination of his Wrathful form and Super Saiyan. I mean, as the name implies, it's pretty obvious. And Frieza kind of laughs at it because he looks like a monkey. Exactly what he would call a Saiyan. But his laughter is cut short as the two begin attacking. Frieza is hopeless against these two, and they take great pride in eliminating him once more. Even though it's kind of quick, they'd rather not risk it. Frieza is killed, and the two get to show off their new powers. Glad to have had this battle. It's weird because an unexpected rivalry is developing between the two. Kind of a camaraderie of sorts, one that wasn't really there before. They're growing stronger, but growing closer too. Who needs God Ki? This is good enough. Following the encounter with Frieza, Vegeta decides he's going to be training more with Granolah. I mean, they're probably the best people to train with each other. They're around a similar strength, and they're both trying to grow stronger and stronger without God Ki. Now, it's not clear if that's going to work, but obviously it's at least worth a shot, so they're going to try and do this. Beerus shows no interest in them, but they'll make Beerus want to train him. If they get strong enough, maybe Beerus will finally notice them, recognizing their potential of letting them train on this planet. Also following Resurrection F, there's another little development, not really too important, but Tarbell joins the Galactic Patrol. He and Jocko would probably get along, they even sound kind of the same. But really, Taro doesn't really have anything else better to do, and maybe he would think this is a good thing. So he ends up leaving Earth while Vegeta obviously will stay here. Vegeta and Granolah aren't the only ones on Earth training though. Gohan would definitely be training with them, as well as Goten and Trunks. Goten's been kind of ignored in this scenario, but don't worry, he'll be a part of something later on. And as for Trunks, obviously he's very different here. He's older than normal, and it's not really the same Trunks, which is kind of weird for Vegeta. He can't put his finger on why it's weird, but for some reason Trunks is strange to him. But with him training a lot with Gohan and Granolah, Trunks is finally able to unlock Super Cerealian, much to Granolah's surprise. Well, maybe it's not too surprising. Gohan got Super Saiyan when he was pretty young, so assuming Super Cerealian works the same, Granolah thinks this is probably normal. And it's good that everyone's working on this because soon enough, the Universe 6 tournament will be set in place. But the team is obviously going to be very different. Of course, Goku and Vegeta are still going to be there. Very different Goku and Vegetas though. And for the next 3 people, it would be Granolah, Gohan, and Trunks. So only 2 of the members of the team are the same. And obviously they're not the same as their regular counterparts, but you know what I mean. So it's essentially a whole new team. Beerus is unsure how to feel about this. Obviously Goku's going to be ahead of everyone else. And he's worried. If Goku is eliminated, well, he doesn't know how the other people will hold up against Universe 6's fighters. And his worst fears are realized as Goku fights Frost. The fight with Potama goes the same, but once Goku faces Frost, he ends up getting poisoned. And next up, Trunks is the one to face him. But Trunks notices something strange. He doesn't blame Goku for not noticing it. And Granolah kind of picked up on it as well from the stand. Frost has a needle under his arm. His sharp vision helps him pick this out, which means Goku's going to be reinstated at the end of the tournament, but for now, Trunks decides he still wants to fight Frost, make him pay for cheating. And once he turns Super Cerealian, he actually makes pretty quick work of Frost. That makes Granolah proud. His son's really taking after him. Next, Trunks is up against Vegeta. Of course, his attacks aren't going to do any damage to him. But Whis does note the weakness of the Metal Man, and I'm sure Trunks could figure out some sort of insult. Vegeta's very sensitive after all, so any of the bare minimum will work. Trunks faces Cabba next, and this is actually a bit of a challenge for him. Even in Super Cerealian, somehow Cabba's still ahead. Universe 6 Saiyans are just naturally pretty strong. But by utilizing Vital Points, and the other perks of Super Cerealian, Trunks is barely able to pull ahead, defeating Cabba. Which obviously means Cabba's not going to get Super Saiyan either. Alright, so even though Goku got eliminated early on, Trunks is still doing a pretty good job. But next up is Hit, the strongest fighter from Universe 6. And he stands no chance against Hit. But Granolah's in the ring next. And he watched Hit fight Trunks. Sure, it was a pretty short battle, and Hit definitely wasn't using his full power. But he still was able to study a bit of how Hit moves. Even if Hit is controlling time, Granolah might be able to figure out a way around it. He could predict when Hit's going to do that. He could see Hit's very subtle movements when he's about to time skip. Once he's in the ring, he immediately powers up into Super Cerealian too. He knows Hit's not playing around, so he won't either. And immediately all his senses are heightened. Even though Hit has power on his side, Granolah has technique. And Hit's amazed to see how Granolah's able to predict all his moves. Well, it looks like he saw through his time skip. But that doesn't change the fact that he's still time skipping. Hit is still a fraction of a second ahead of Granolah. Even if Granolah knows when he's using it and can partially predict some of his movements, Hit is still incredibly fast and incredibly powerful. But he also is able to strike Hit in a Vital Point, which Hit commends Granolah for. The two of them seem pretty similar. He notices Granolah continuing to use these techniques, and wonders if Granolah is also an assassin. Well, maybe in another life. But even though they may not be matched in power, Hit still does acknowledge the techniques from Granolah. It's kind of like a battle between two assassins. Although, Granolah being able to locate Vital Points is much more effective. Hit could try as much as he can to strike in those points, but Granolah actually knows where they are. With a combination of that, and predicting all of Hit's movements, he's able to slowly dismantle Hit. At one point, Hit tries to attack with a time skip, and Granolah sees the perfect opening for a counter. He strikes a Vital Point that lands the final blow. Hit is knocked unconscious, which amazes everyone. Even with less brute strength, he was able to accomplish this. And Beerus is finally noticing Granolah. Those movements. He talks to Whis. Is he thinking the same thing he is? And Whis obviously noticed it as well, being able to predict attacks like that and attack so perfectly. It's definitely an interesting combo, something that they want Goku to work towards. Maybe Granolah can achieve it. Maybe he can get Ultra Instinct. So, following this tournament, Zamasu's going to be up to nothing. There's no time traveler, and there's no fight on GodTube that would interest him. I mean, maybe there would be a fight, but if there was, it would just be Granolah versus Hit. No one making a mockery of godly power. Zamasu would probably still harbor his hatred towards mortals, but there's no reason for him to act on it here. Hit's probably the only thing that would upset him, but other than that, there's not really much. So luckily, he just stays as a normal angsty Kai. And this actually leaves hope for Gowasu to turn him to a good side, make it so Zamasu has no more of these impure thoughts. But there's still other things happening between this time. Even if there's no big battle going on, there are some pretty big developments, mainly the fact that Granolah is now on Beerus' planet. He finally got Beerus' attention. And Beerus asks Granolah, is there a way for him to get a godly form as well? And Granolah's not sure, although his Super Cerulean form did function similar to Super Saiyan. He does have two versions of that, which kind of reminds him of Goku's Super Saiyan. And if that worked, maybe there's some sort of Super Cerulean god form. Obviously, he knows nothing about it, but he could theorize. And Beerus does acknowledge this point. But even if that doesn't exist, he knows that Granolah can pick up on Godly Ki here, and just apply it to his normal Super Cerulean and Super Cerulean 2 forms. But most importantly, he tells Granolah he wants to see more of those movements he used against Hit. Well, Granolah just says he's been striking vital points, but no, it's not just that. When Granolah turned Super Cerulean 2, with his heightened senses and all, it was like he was able to predict all of Hit's movements, and his body moved automatically. Well, it wasn't automatic. There was thought put into it, but he sees what Beerus and Whis are trying to get at. And Goku butts in too. He's been working towards the same thing, but doesn't really know how to do so. But Granolah has a step ahead. He already has the principles of it down. It's just that he's doing all this consciously instead of unconsciously. If he could apply those same habits to an unconscious movement, he could get exactly what Whis wants to train them for. As Granolah starts his training on Beerus' planet, he does grow very quick, and Whis takes note. He grows just as fast as Goku. Although, he is a bit behind because Goku did have that extra year of training on here, but also in terms of martial arts, Granolah does have more unique abilities, and he's growing faster in terms of technique. Not to say Goku grows slow in that sense. He grows insanely quick. Although Goku does have a head start in terms of power, while Granolah has a head start in terms of technique. Although his Cerulean abilities naturally just help him better in that sense, applying the power-ups of Super Cerulean 2 to these trainings. And Whis could tell, Granolah could definitely get Ultra Instinct. And Granolah does request something. He wants to see if Beerus can bring Vegeta to this planet. Honestly, Beerus isn't too fond of inviting so many people here, but maybe it'll work. It could help motivate Granolah and Goku more, although they are already very motivated. But having an extra training partner couldn't hurt, especially if it's another Saiyan. Maybe he could have another Super Saiyan God, an extra person to push both of them further. Even if they are already motivated now, Vegeta could add to that even further. Reluctantly, Beerus does accept this, although a few months later on. Awesome, they got exactly what they wanted. Together, Granolah and Vegeta were able to get Beerus' attention. And now they can start doing some more godly training. Goku's glad to have both of them here too, especially Granolah, obviously. That's his brother after all. It's nice to be training with him once again. Even though Goku's ahead, Granolah promises he will catch up to Goku and go even past him. He is the older brother after all. He should be the one guiding Goku, and Goku accepts that challenge. It seems Granolah's done a good job training on Earth. Even without access to Godly Ki, he's grown so powerful and learned so many new techniques. And even though they didn't get to see the kids fight in the tournament, you could tell that he's been training Gohan and Goten well. And obviously Trunks has been growing too. They saw that in the tournament at least. But he wonders if the kids will keep up their training because now the three of them are here. Obviously Vegeta didn't really have a stake in that, but Goku and Granolah aren't there to motivate them. And it's not like there's a Piccolo there either because there is no Piccolo. But back on Earth, I feel like the kids would be fine. Well, I call them that, but they're not even really kids. Gohan's an adult, and if we assume that Ceruleans age like Saiyans, Trunks is definitely fully grown by now. And his fight in the Universe 6 tournament got him fired up. He wants to get stronger, just like Granolah. Of course, his friendship with Gohan would still flourish, with the two being adoptive cousins and all. They see each other a lot, and even though Gohan does pursue his studies, Trunks does keep him training. He needs a good training partner after all, and Gohan's the best person to train with. And it's not like Goten's going to be left out. He would love to train with his brother and cousin. It's kind of a snowball effect. Gohan would probably be the hardest to encourage, but the other two help encourage him and encourage each other. So even with their fathers gone on Beerus' planet, they're still going to keep up their training. Wondering what kind of heights they could reach. There's a friendly rivalry between all of them, especially Gohan and Trunks. And it makes the others on Earth wonder what's up with Granolah and Goku as well. Krillin and Tenshinhan haven't really seen them in too long, but they know for a fact that they're way farther ahead of them by now. It's nice to see their friends and rivals flourish like that. But even though they're far away, they are going to return soon. A lot of time passes after the tournament. Of course, Zeno did get word of it and showed up, deciding he wanted to do a tournament like that for himself at some point. And now's the time. Zeno's very bored. He also could just erase the universes because he doesn't really like keeping track of them. But how about a fun challenge? He could do that tournament that he thought of before. Not to mention, it'll be a great test for the universes. So, he sets the tournament of power in motion. No need for an exhibition match either because it's just one Zeno. He doesn't need to show another Zeno how it works. And obviously this news hits everybody hard. Now Universe 7 needs to gather 10 members. Who would be the team captain? On Beerus' planet, they're trying to decide, but Goku and Vegeta both acknowledge that it should be Granolah. His amazing strategy could really help here. And he is powerful too. Beerus doesn't even object. Alright, that settles it. Granolah's the leader, and now they need to find some people. He really just wants to speed this process up. So, obviously Goku, Vegeta, and Granolah are on the team. And once they go to Earth to try and recruit some others, the kids are going to join too. Gohan, Trunks, and Goten all join. So that's 6 people so far. Tenshinhan and Krillin would probably be easy to select as well. But they still need 2 more people. Goku and Granolah think that maybe they could try and recruit Grandpa Gohan and Master Roshi. But that could be kind of a stretch. Grandpa Gohan actually declines, same for Roshi too. They do say they'll join if needed, but suggest that they try to find alternate members first. So, those 2 are kind of on the bench right now. Alright, so what are they supposed to do for the extra 2 fighters? Well, Vegeta decides maybe it's a good idea to recruit Tarble. He's someone they could trust, and even though he's not really strong, he's decently powerful. They even consider recruiting that Jakku guy, and Jakku acts like he is brave and he would like to join, but really deep down, he doesn't. Luckily for him, they don't choose him for the team, and he breathes a sigh of relief. But what are they supposed to do for that last member? Well, they still have Roshi and Gohan as options, but those 2 are still suggesting to find someone else. And the group tries to ponder, who could they actually recruit? Maybe there's some other strong humans, but who knows if they'd be able to keep up with this tournament. It's too bad that they can't recruit gods like Shin and Kibito. But that gives Goku an idea. They can't recruit gods, but he knows someone similar. They're not gonna like his suggestion though. He decides they should try and recruit Deborah. Wait, Deborah, that guy that fought Boo against them and the guy that helped revive Boo? Why would they want him on the team? He's evil. Well, who knows? Goku says people could change. Deborah hasn't been up to anything. As far as they know at least. And I mean, look at Vegeta. He was slaughtering planets before and he turned good. Vegeta tells Goku to shut up. He's nothing like Deborah. And Granolah says Vegeta kind of has a point. I mean, the guy's title is that he's the king of the demon realm or whatever. Granolah can't exactly remember what it was, but it had demon in the name. He can't be a good guy. But who knows? And even if he's not good, so what? If he's evil, they could probably just defeat him afterwards if he causes trouble. He would be stupid not to join anyways. If they lose, well, Deborah's gonna die too. It's in his best interest to join. And slowly, they're starting to warm up to the idea of it. Of course, they don't like the idea of recruiting Deborah, but it doesn't seem like they have another choice. Unless they go with Goku's other option of reviving Frieza, maybe. Okay, Deborah is definitely the lesser of 2 evils. Like, literally the lesser of 2 evils. But that raises a few questions. For one, where is Deborah? 2, how strong is he? Will he help in the tournament? Well, they know for a fact that he was able to help against Boo. He was decently powerful after all. And he has some magical abilities which could come in handy here, especially if he's practiced them. But the most important question is, what has he been up to? Even if they do locate him and convince him to join somehow, what has Deborah been doing? Has he just been dormant this entire time? Has he been plotting something? Has he actually turned good? They have no idea, and they won't know until they actually find him. So now, the search begins. They have limited time, but the group's gonna hunt down Deborah, trying to find him and recruit him for the Tournament of Power as the final member. So, where is Deborah? What's he been up to? The group starts to track him down. They know he headed off into space, but they don't know where. They don't even know where to begin looking. And time is short, so Whis decides to help. He is able to locate Deborah, actually. He won't be able to intervene and help them get Deborah to come here, but he can show them where he is. With help from Shin and Kibito, they could be teleported over there. But Shin warns them. He hopes they know what they're getting into, specifically Goku and Granolah, who are the ones going. But they'll be fine. They think that they can retrieve Deborah. He seemed pretty reasonable against Boo, and in a situation like this, maybe he will team up with him again, even if he isn't necessarily an ally. They end up on a faraway planet. Thankfully, there is an atmosphere here. I mean, how lucky is that, right? Totally not more convenient for me that way. Deborah turns around, sensing 4 new powers approaching. The Supreme Kai, and that Saiyan, that Cerulean, those 2 that he saw on Earth before. Why are they here? Why now? He thinks they're here to kill him. No words are exchanged. Deborah immediately draws his sword, launching towards them as a fight ensues. Goku takes this one for himself, and he notes, Deborah is definitely way stronger than when they last saw him. And while they could stop the fight now, Goku actually wants to keep it going. Deborah begins going all out, showing off some magical abilities as well, which is pretty surprising. Chunks of the ground start flying up, as Deborah flings them towards Goku, morphing them into different shapes and using them as weapons. Goku's about to destroy the rocks, but then his arms get restrained to his side. It then feels like he's being electrocuted. All the rocks start flying towards him, as a hole opens up below Goku, with lava flying out of it. Right before all this is about to hit him, Goku then powers up into Super Saiyan Blue, escaping Deborah's grasp. Wow, that was brutal, or at least it would have been if he was trapped in there. And Deborah's amazed. This power, he can't sense it, and was able to break free from his magic, even after all this time. But Deborah gets ready for round 2. He can still keep fighting, and he still has a lot more magic that he didn't show off. That was just a small taste of it. But remembering how painful that was, Goku says, wait a second. He drops the axe and tells Deborah they're not here to kill him, but he is glad that they get to fight a bit. Physically, he's a lot stronger, and his magical abilities are becoming a lot more complex. He integrates them directly into how he fights, which could be really good on the team. The team? What team? They catch Deborah up to speed. And yeah, Deborah's not a great guy here. He's not even good, but he isn't a supervillain. It's not like recruiting Frieza to the team. He's a bad guy, but they can at least trust Deborah to not betray everyone immediately and try killing his teammates. Although it would be concerning if he got the Super Dragon Balls. Well, considering this puts him at risk too, he decides to join the team. He's pursuing magical prowess only, and he hasn't really acted up in the past few years, so hopefully he won't be acting up during this short time either. Basically, he's just been out here in space training, honing his magical abilities and his physical strength. He has even gone to the demon realm from time to time, making trips there and then back to the normal world. And they're surprised to hear this. Weird, they thought he'd have some weird supervillain scheme going on. Maybe another Majin Buu being made, but no, he's definitely not going to do that again. Buu actually encouraged him. He knows there's probably other strong magicians out there, people like Babidi, people like Buu, and he wants to prepare himself. He needs to be the strongest. Because he knows one day, if that person were to show up, he would be one of their main targets, being one of the strongest magicians and all. So he needs to be able to defend himself, not like against Buu where he couldn't really fight him. Plus, it's just cool to develop his magical abilities. Alright, well, now that we have that out of the way, the Tournament of Power team is set. Just as a quick recap from the last part, we have Goku, Vegeta, Granolah, Gohan, Trunks, Tenshinhan, Goten, Krillin, Deborah, and of course, Tarble. He was really quick to try and recruit Jaco to the team too, but thankfully they got Deborah. So Jaco dodged a bullet and he didn't need to make an excuse to Tarble. That was close. Now, the tournament itself begins. Universe 7 has a pretty nice team here. Of course, they don't have the androids and they don't have Piccolo on the team, and they don't have Frieza either. So yeah, they're lacking in those areas. And also there's people like Vegeta and Gohan that have gone down different paths than normal. But the team is still good regardless. First of all, there's Trunks. With so much time spent training with Granolah, as well as Gohan and Goten, he now has access to Super Cerulean. And you also gotta remember, not only is he a completely different Trunks than normal, but he's older than the other Trunks. So unlike someone like Goten, for example, who's kinda immature and young here, Trunks is way more grown up, not just in physical size, but also mentality. Although that's kind of a moot point because Goten actually is in the tournament too. But he is a much more refined fighter too because he has more reason to fight here. Training with Gohan and Trunks so much actually helped him with this. It's funny, Trunks was the main motivator there. He was so motivated to get strong that it rubbed off on the other two. Also, let's go back to Tarble for a bit. He has something pretty interesting now. He actually kept it a secret from Vegeta, but he shows it off. He turns Super Saiyan. By this point, with all the training he's done as a Galactic Patrolman, and with the knowledge from his brother as well as everyone else on Earth, he has this form. Of course, it's not incredibly impressive, but Vegeta's amazed to see it. He never would have thought Tarble would have been able to do something like this. So, maybe joining the Galactic Patrol was a good idea for him. He is really glad that he sought out his brother a long time ago. Maybe the two of them can become training partners, even if Tarble is way farther behind. If he was able to access Super Saiyan on his own with no help, well, maybe Vegeta's been underestimating his brother. He actually joins up with Vegeta to face Topo together, one of the strongest Pride Troopers. The two of them actually start wiping out the rest of the Pride Troopers, with Tarble showing some respect to them because they do uphold justice. He does the same thing, he's part of the Galactic Patrol, so they're at least glad to hear that. Also, less of a reason for the Pride Troopers to hate everybody. With someone like Tarble on the team, well, the fights between the Pride Troopers and everyone else are a lot more respectable, including Topo, who doesn't even transform into his God of Destruction mode, because he doesn't have someone like Frieza egging him on. Well, he does end up facing Deborah though. But like I said, Deborah's not like Frieza. He's interfering here to help. It's a weird team up, Deborah, Vegeta, and Tarble. At least this isn't the first time they fought together. That happened in the Buu Saga. And Topo is a formidable opponent, but they are able to topple him. Oh my god, wait, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't realize how good of a pun that was. Dude, that came natural. That was great. But yeah, with Topo gone, there's only a few other strong Pride Troopers remaining. Mainly someone like Dispo who can be handled, but also Jiren. We'll be getting to him soon. At some point, Kale and Cauliflower would probably fuse. This would probably happen pretty early on though because they don't have Super Saiyans, so this would have to be their last resort. And it's a pretty bad thing that their last resort comes so early on. They fuse into Kefla. And even though Kefla would be strong, she's not nearly as strong as she would be normally. But something good does come of the fusion. The fact that Universe 7 learns about the fusion, specifically Granolah and Goku, that's really interesting. Two fighters can fuse into one temporarily? Huh. They'll keep that in mind. Speaking of Granolah and Goku, they're fighting together against a lot of the stronger opponents. And I did mention before, some of the other parts of the team may be weaker than their normal counterparts, but these two, well, they're actually doing pretty well for themselves. For one, Granolah has access to Godly Ki. Combining that with Super Cerulean, I guess that makes him a Super Cerulean god. Beerus already did know about this, but he's elated to see it in action again. Granolah's been growing pretty quickly. He seems to grow just as quick as the Saiyans, which is great. Even better that he has the same forms as them. And also, keep in mind how strong Granolah would be at this point. This is pretty close to when the Granolah arc happened in the normal story. And even before Granolah made his wish, he was pretty strong. We saw him effortlessly fighting an army of 7-3s. And that was just normal base Granolah. Imagine this version who has transformations, godly ki, all this great training. He would likely be really insane as a fighter. But the two of them eventually do face Jiren. And here, there's some struggle. Even with godly forms, the two of them are having a tough time keeping up. His power is just so intense. It's pushing them to their limits. But Whis watches carefully. He notes that Granolah is on the cusp of something. It's the whole reason he was intrigued in the first place. Of course, he does have Super Cerealian God, but unlike Super Saiyan God, it's not actually that different from normal Super Cerealian. It's essentially that form with godly ki. Essentially an evolved version of that. And Whis was glad to see him tap into godly ki, but more so, he's interested in this. And against Jiren, Granolah thinks he has to show it off, even though it's not really refined yet. As we've been discussing in the past few parts, Granolah's powers don't just stop at physical strength. His senses are enhanced, and a good example of that was his fight against Hit, or any other fights he was in. With Super Cerealian, as well as Super Cerealian 2, his reflexes became so fast, he was able to react to things before they happened. His senses were so refined that he could sense such little things within people's movements, beyond the things he could see before with his eyes, and now the things he perceives, it actually helps him unlock something pretty interesting. Something that Whis really wanted Goku to get. Thanks to Super Cerealian and his access to godly ki, all Granolah now needs is a calm mind. He powers down into base, trying to tap into this. He's briefly used it before, and now it's time to use it again. It's basically the same principles as what he had with Super Cerealian, but just with more focus. He calms his mind, he calms his heart, and briefly, he closes his eyes. When he closes them, both of his eyes are red, but then he opens them. They've become a shiny pink color. He has a completely blank stare, his hair starts flowing, and a strange glow surrounds him as his aura flares up. Jiren tries attacking him. His attacks aren't doing anything. Everyone looks on speechless, especially the gods of destruction. Well, except a few people. Beerus, Whis, and Goku aren't really too surprised. Well, Goku kinda is. He saw Granolah use this before, and he's elated to see him access it again. He does want to joke around and say hopefully it'll be his turn soon, but he doesn't want to distract Granolah. And the way he's able to pull it off is incredible. Everyone is mesmerized watching him. He has power, but he also has the movements behind it. Of course, this isn't a complete version of Ultra Instinct. This is Omen. But with Granolah's great strength, it's enough of a boost to help him. Jiren begins showing off more of his power, eventually going full power too. And now, no matter how fast Granolah is, he's not going to be able to outspeed Jiren. Jiren's given himself enough speed and strength to actually counter this. Well, hopefully. Goku jumps back into the fight, with the rest of the Universe 7 actually trying to help as well. But at the same time, they don't want to get in the way of Granolah. They know if they join in, they'll just be inhibiting him, and they might make things worse. And Whis notes to Beerus, even though Granolah does have Omen, it's still not the complete Ultra Instinct. But he's definitely on the path to unlock it. Maybe if pushed far enough, especially in a fight like this, he can unlock it. And they watch carefully. But something very different happens. Granolah doesn't unlock Ultra Instinct. He continues fighting Jiren, but someone else jumps in. Remember how I mentioned everyone was pretty scared to jump in because they didn't want to get in his way? Well, there's one way to jump in without getting in the way. If your body reacts automatically, that is. If there's someone there who could fight alongside Granolah with great synergy, as well as great power and automatic reflexes, and there's one person who's been doing the exact same training as him that fits that perfectly. It's none other than his brother, Goku. His appearance is somewhat similar to Granolah's too. Of course, his eyes are silver. He doesn't have the double red eyes, and he doesn't have a great grasp on this, but he's pushed to his limits by Jiren too. And with the same training in mind, especially with a great training partner like Granolah, Goku applies those principles to himself, unlocking Ultra Instinct Omen. Their two auras merge as they fight together. The power, it's incredible. The two already fought with amazing synergy, but now combine it with the fact that they're using Ultra Instinct. Their bodies are moving on their own. Beerus and Whis are elated, and Granolah is just as surprised, but he can't let emotions overcome him. During the battle, he even briefly cracks a smile. He can't hold it back. He's trying not to show excitement for Goku, because that would ruin his focus right now in Ultra Instinct. He needs to be calm, but he can't help it. Seeing his brother use the same technique as him, and fighting alongside with that same power, well, it's an emotion that he can't really hold back. More of a reason to make this quick. Thankfully, both of them are on the same page. Their bodies automatically start performing a technique that they used beforehand. An old combo attack of theirs, the Turtle School shooting attack. Jiren is completely overwhelmed by the two of them. Goku tries to launch Jiren into the air, while Granolah has to try and snipe him. And it's a really weird feeling for Granolah, sniping while in Ultra Instinct. The calmness he feels while doing this, locating Jiren's vital points. As he points his finger towards Jiren, his arm is automatically moving. It's essentially like him having aimbot in a way. The execution is flawless, and together, the two of them are able to knock Jiren out of the ring. And by this point, not too many people are left, so Universe 7 ends up winning. And right after defeating Jiren, Granolah drops out of Ultra Instinct. He can't contain how happy he is. Not only did he defeat Jiren, but he successfully pulled off Ultra Instinct, and his brother did the same as well. They've been together through a lot, but that was one of his coolest experiences yet. And the crazy part is, that's only just the beginning. That's not even the true Ultra Instinct. They can only imagine where they'll go next. A wish is made to restore the rest of the universes. Thankfully, Dabura didn't get the Super Dragon Balls. They were kind of worried about that, but now, what's Dabura going to be up to? He did help a lot during this tournament. I didn't really cover it too much, but he had been going around utilizing magic abilities to help actually keep people in the ring, and of course knock out a lot of other fighters. And remember how I mentioned that he was worried about any other magicians popping up? Even with Boo dead, that does happen eventually, and Moro still is able to regain some of his power. But this time the main group doesn't have to worry about it. A few people end up going to Namek to fight him. Well, they head there separately. Mayris doesn't even get involved, he just watches from afar. First, a group of Kais heads there. Shin, Kibito, the South Supreme Kai, and of course the Grand Supreme Kai, ready to face Moro again after all these years. But before their battle begins, someone else shows up, Dabura. Of course, sensing this magical awakening, he wasn't just going to sit back, but he's amazed to see the other Kais here. The Kais are pretty surprised to see him, but they know he's on their side at least because he did fight with them in the tournament. There's no way he's teaming up with Moro. And Moro is kind of concerned now. He's fighting 4 Kais, including the one that he fought before that sealed him away a while ago. And also Dabura, the king of the demon realm who's incredibly powerful with magic. As you could probably guess, this is not going to go well for Moro, and he's defeated relatively easily. But in the meantime, that doesn't mean everyone's just sitting back doing nothing. Goku and Granolah of course train with Ultra Instinct even further. And Vegeta still does consider training with Tarble, but rather, he wants to work towards something else. Seeing Ultra Instinct, he's motivated. He needs to get something of his own like that, but that form doesn't suit him. Thankfully, Beerus has an idea in mind. He sees how primal Vegeta is with that Super Saiyan 4 form, something that goes back to his Saiyan's roots. And he knows something else that'll go back to his Saiyan's roots. Maybe if he learned the techniques of a god of destruction, kind of like that guy Toppo that he fought. He didn't even realize Toppo was a candidate for god of destruction, and he was strong just in base. Imagine if Vegeta could learn like that, and imagine if he could have techniques like Beerus, such as the Hakai or something else. He doesn't know what he could do with it, and Beerus isn't just going to flat out teach him, but now he has a new path to go down. His ego will fuel him, in a good way. So you're probably wondering, isn't everything wrapped up now? I mean, Moro's done with, and there's no Granolah arc because Granolah's here. Well, there's still another loose end. His name is Cell, and his development is continuing. But it's not just the normal Cell. This is going to be a much different Cell than the one we know. He's morphing into a deadly, unstable weapon, growing so powerful. It's not like Cell in any other timeline when he was being developed. The insane data he's being given, he's mutating. It's a new, maxed out version of Cell. Of course, Cell's development is completely unknown to everybody, especially the fact that he's turning into whatever this is. At the time, Granolah and Goku aren't on Earth, but other people are still there. Trunks is training at Capsule Corp one day, and he senses something very peculiar. It's Goku's energy, Gohan's. He senses his father, he senses Vegeta. There's even other presences that he doesn't recognize. And the weirdest of all, he senses something that feels like his own ki. A very strange sensation because he doesn't really ever sense his own ki. Goten rushes over, he feels it too, and Gohan eventually meets them as well. Something very bad's about to happen. Tremors are sensed far away. In the middle of nowhere, the ground erupts. It's almost like a volcano. It's already happened by the time Gohan, Trunks, and Goten get there. What they see in front of them is unlike anything they've ever seen before. It's a giant monster. This is Cell Max. It's not the normal Cell we know, or even the normal Cell Max that we know. It's a mutated version of Cell that ended up turning into this. With all the great data he gathered, it was a little bit overwhelming. This version of Cell couldn't contain all that power, and with all of this mixed together, it created the perfect storm. Trunks immediately powers up, with Gohan and Goten following as well. They all rush in, trying to see if they could even fight this monster. They don't know what it is or who it is, but they know they need to stop it. Whatever it is, it's something that's going to cause havoc. It seems to be completely mindless. And Trunks notes something pretty important. He sees there's a vital point of the monster's head. Okay, that makes it pretty easy. As long as they can land a direct, powerful attack right there, that should be able to defeat the monster. But there's a big issue with that. First of all, that seems to be the only vital point that Trunks can find. But even worse is the fact that they don't have enough power to actually injure him. They try and attack him, even trying to block against his attacks, but nothing works. This monster is too strong, but at least they're distracting him, preventing any other further destruction. They're going to need some serious help here, and it's going to have to come quickly. Thankfully, somebody else does arrive. A purple streak of light flies across the battlefield. Cell Max is barely able to dodge the attack in time. The 3 warriors look to where that trail leads to, seeing a familiar but also different face. It's Vegeta, but he looks weird. Something about him is very different. Thankfully he was on Earth at this time, and he appears to be in a Super Saiyan 4 form, but something else is really weird about it. It's purple now, and he has no eyebrows either. Freaky, but also, they don't know what this is. Vegeta doesn't know what this monster is, but he can't hold back against it. This is his full power, the power of Ultra Ego, combined with that of Super Saiyan 4. For a brief moment, Cell appears shocked, but then goes back to his mindless rampage. Vegeta thinks he could end this quickly, and Trunks shouts to Vegeta, telling him about Cell's vital point. If he could strike his head, getting a direct hit there might be able to kill this monster. Vegeta says that sounds simple enough. He powers up, encapsulated by purple flames, disappearing from sight. Cell is able to try and attack him, and Vegeta attacks back. Their fists clash, and even with the size disparity, Vegeta is able to match him in terms of strength. But that's concerning to him. He's only matching this monster. How is he not above him? As Gohan, Trunks, and Goten watch, Gohan notes something that might be a pretty big deal. They sense everybody else's ki within this monster, so what if that means he has the same powers as them too? So that means no matter how strong Vegeta is, Cell has that same strength, doesn't he? And they watch on. Vegeta begins charging the attack, launching right towards the vital point of Cell's head. Vegeta's flying over at immense speeds, with one hand behind him, carrying a rampaging purple flame. At the very last moment, they yell out to Vegeta, telling him to watch out. Cell might have the same powers. And this makes Vegeta flinch, but it saves his life, because at the same moment that he's about to strike, Cell strikes with his own attack, launching one very similar to Vegeta's, another Hakai. Vegeta's barely able to fly back, then launching his own attack, countering Cell's with his. Had he tried to strike Cell's vital point, Cell would have been able to erase him. How does he have this power? He could use the Hakai? And now Vegeta notices too, that energy within him. He could sense everybody's power, but also his own. Not to mention that God of Destruction energy, something that the others couldn't even sense, but he can. As the two attacks hit each other, a massive explosion is created, flinging both Cell Max and Vegeta backwards. The shockwave alone is strong enough to knock the other three over as well. What are they supposed to do here? Vegeta gets back up quickly. This damage will fuel him, but to what end? Of course, this fight will help him grow stronger in Ultra Ego, but still. He thinks the same will apply to Cell as well. Not to mention, the more damage he takes, the more tired out he's going to get. It's a double-edged sword. But they're going to have to try everything they can. If only Goku and Granolah were here, they could probably help. But Vegeta turns to the others, promising them he'll do anything in his power to defeat this monster. He could do it. An explosive battle between the two destructive powers ensues. Vegeta is impressed at first, seeing that this monster has the same strength as him, but he sees no point being impressed. This monster is mindless. Whatever it is isn't even in this for the battle. It's just rampaging with no endgame. It's almost mechanical, like this thing isn't organic. Of course, it technically is a bio-android, but they don't know that, and they don't know the actual backstory of what this is. They just think it's some alien from outer space attacking Earth or something. It's not like they can even go to the lab and find out info about it because it's completely destroyed. This whole area is scorched. Plumes of lava shoot up from the ground, swirling into Cell Max's aura, turning from an orange hue to a purple one. Telekinetically, Cell gathers it all in his hand, charging it with his destructive ki. With a fiery purple ball of energy in his hand, he lunges towards Vegeta. A massive, destructive, and scorching attack. Vegeta's barely able to charge his own in time, trying to counter it once again. With the two Hakais canceling each other out, another explosion is generated, this one flinging purple lava everywhere. Sure, Vegeta can hold this monster off, but if this battle continues any longer, the entire planet's gonna be destroyed at this rate. It's just getting worse and worse. But thankfully, with this battle going on, of course other people are gonna sense it, specifically Goku and Granolah. It did take some time for them to arrive, but thanks to help from Beerus and Whis, they're here now. Of course, they're very far away from the battlefield, and Beerus is interested in what this monster is. That energy coming off him. What is that? He sits back and watches the fight, as Goku and Granolah fly in. Vegeta's joined by the two of them, glad to see them here, and Granolah's amazed at Vegeta's new power. Seeing how far Vegeta's come really makes him kinda proud. I mean, they are rivals after all, but he can't focus on that at the moment. They need to focus on this monster, whatever it is. He notes the same vital point that Trunks does, and he tries to see if he could find any others, but it seems like there's nothing there. They have to strike that one area. But at least he could find something. That means there is a way out of this. He just needs to get an attack in. Maybe if he could charge one up long enough, it'll be able to destroy this monster. That's good enough for Goku. He transforms, going into Ultra Instinct, looking at Vegeta, saying the two of them will hold this monster back. The fruits of their training will be shown here, and Granolah follows suit, being surrounded by that same aura as Goku, except his hair turns a silverish color, the complete Ultra Instinct. Whis watches on with delight, as well as Beerus too. He's interested to see how this power will work for Granolah in a setting like this. Although, Granolah's not really going to be on the front lines. He will be fighting Cell Max, but the entire time, he's more so focused on charging an attack, while Goku and Vegeta act as distractions, able to hold off the monster. But there's one thing that they forgot to account for. Since this monster has the same powers as everybody else here, he also would have the same powers as Granolah. Of course, that doesn't mean he's going to have the double red eyes and be able to see as accurately as him. I mean, this guy is a rampaging monster. He's not going to have the mind that Granolah has. But he's able to pick up on discrete things about everybody's movements. Even with Goku using Ultra Instinct, or Granolah using it for himself and trying to charge up an attack, Cell Max could see the cracks within their forms. There's still minor imperfections, things that he could use to avoid their attacks or even counterattack. His senses are just as heightened as theirs. Luckily, he doesn't have the mind for Ultra Instinct because otherwise, they'd be pretty screwed. And as they're battling, Granolah hears a voice in his head. Then Goku does as well. Same for Vegeta. Beerus and Whis watch on. Interesting for this guy to join at this moment. It's the Grand Supreme Kai, communicating with them, asking if they need help. Earth might be destroyed at this rate, and yeah, they could clearly see that. He wants to get more info about what's going on, but this gives Granolah an idea. The Grand Supreme Kai contacting them. He asks, the Grand Supreme Kai was at the Tournament of Power, and he definitely saw this. Remember those two Saiyans from Universe 6? They fused with some earrings or whatever? The same kind that the Kais have. Oh yeah, the Potara earrings? And he sees what Granolah's asking. Does he want to use them and fuse? Wait, so it is possible. Granolah was curious about them, but if that's actually a possibility, definitely, they're gonna need those. Maybe if he combines his powers with someone, they'll be able to outpace and overpower this monster. But there's kind of an issue. How is he gonna get his hands on the Potara earrings? Well, that's pretty simple. The Grand Supreme Kai uses the Kai Kai, coming to Earth really quickly, and in one swift motion, he hands Granolah the Potara earrings, then teleporting back to his planet. And Granolah looks down at his hands amazed. The power of these things. Imagine what a fusion with him and someone else would be like. And he has the perfect idea of who to fuse with. The Grand Supreme Kai was talking to everyone, so Goku and Vegeta have heard the conversation as well. And Goku knows exactly what Granolah is thinking. Automatically, he rushes over to Granolah, asking for one of the earrings. And in their minds, they can still hear the Grand Supreme Kai instructing them, telling them how to use these things. Thankfully, the Grand Supreme Kai is able to note that this isn't permanent. But possibly if they use too much power, the fusion will run out. They've basically got one chance at this. If this fails, Cell Max will keep growing stronger and stronger, and they might not have another shot. Without hesitation, Goku puts one of the earrings on, looking at Granolah. He does the same, thanking Goku. He smirks, even chuckling a bit as he does this. He's excited, and Goku is too. While still in Ultra Instinct, the two of them then fly towards each other. Everyone watches on as they spin around in midair, encapsulated by the brilliant aura of Ultra Instinct. And what remains is nothing. There's nothing there. After the aura disappears, there's no one standing there. But Whis can still sense it, and even Vegeta and Beerus can. Cell can as well. Quickly he flings a hand behind him, launching a Hakai. But it's caught by something. The Hakai is harnessed, then turned into a small ball, launched right back at Cell. They finally see the fighter. Standing there with a brilliant, fiery, and godly aura, there's an individual, graciously levitating above the ground. It looks like Goku. It looks like Granolah. But this isn't either of them. This is GOKU. No words are exchanged, but he smiles. The fusion of the two brothers, a culmination of all their powers together. Beerus is beyond elated. This power, it has to be even beyond his at this point. GOKU knows he needs to work quick, and he doesn't make any mistakes. Cell Max tries lunging towards him, and simply with a finger, he stops the monster. Then vanishing behind him, and with another finger, flicks him away. This flick is able to launch him into space, almost instantly. The speed at which this happens amazes everyone else. They can barely track it. An aura that looks like a galaxy forms around the fighter. Without even moving his hands, energy begins swirling in front of him. He looks up towards where Cell's flying. His eyes flicker into a pinkish color. Effortlessly, he locks onto Cell, as the energy continues swirling around in front of him. Slowly, he swirls his hands in front of him, harnessing all the energy, with that aura dissipating around him and also forming into a ball in front of him. He cups his hands together, as he then crushes the energy into a small ball. The ball floats out in front of him as he points his finger upwards. He whispers under his breath, saying Kamehame. He shouts the last part of it, with the Ha part of the attack echoing throughout the area. This is his ultimate move, the Quasar Kamehameha. An intense beam of energy is fired out of his fingers, with deadly precision, hitting Cell Max right in his vital point. It's faster than an instant, and soon, that trail expands into a massive Kamehameha. It has deadly precision and power, and not only does it land a direct hit on Cell, but the remaining energy exploding out of it completely erases what's left of him. Calmly, GOKU lowers his hand, and almost like they planned it, they defuse right after. That was a lot of fun. The two fist bump. To think that the two ended up like this. In another life, they possibly would have fought and destroyed each other. But thanks to some slightly different actions from Bardock here, that didn't end up happening. And Granolah even looks at the people around him too. Beerus, Whis, Vegeta, these people whom he has a different relationship with. Even Trunks, he has a kid. His two nephews, Gohan and Goten, they're there. And that power that he felt, Ultra Instinct, the same one as his brother. Fusing was fun, but it shows them. They have a lot of room to grow too. Imagine being as strong as that fusion, or even fusing again. They'd love to try it again sometime, but they've kind of had enough for one day. But our story doesn't end just yet. After the climax of this arc, Granolah is relaxing at Capsule Corp for once. He's had a lot going on, and he wants to take some time to chill. Oatmeal then flies over, and it seems like he's warning Granolah of somebody. Huh, that's weird. Granolah can't sense anybody. It's been a while since he had to rely on Oatmeal to warn him of an enemy. He thanks his pet bird. After all this time, he's still well trained. He calmly walks over to where this threat apparently is, and then two people fly past him. Well, they don't fly past him, they're thrown past him, being thrown through a nearby wall. Looking through the hole in the wall, he sees Trunks. He easily defeated Oil and Maki, and Granolah sees another person point a gun at Trunks, launching a blast that Trunks counters. He shouts at Trunks, "Think of what he's doing! He's gonna destroy the whole building!" Trunks profusely apologizes. Bulma's gonna be pissed, but whatever, they'll deal with that later. The guy with the gun then aims it at Granolah too, and he easily swats away the blast. Who is this guy? And this guy's angered. Why are they not taking him seriously? They're here for the Dragon Ball radar. They didn't expect to encounter anybody strong though. And it's not just Granolah and Trunks. Goku then lands nearby, sensing Trunks' energy flare up. He asks Granolah who these guys are, and Granolah has no clue either. It's the Heaters. And seeing Goku, Alek's expression changes for a second, and he looks over to Gas as well, who's standing right next to him. That hairstyle. He looks just like... No, that can't be. But as they look closer, they see Goku and Granolah standing next to each other. They recognize these two. One of them, he looks like that Saiyan Bardock that they fought before. And the other guy, it can't be. He looks like a Cerulean. They thought it was just a weird coincidence that Trunks had some red eyes and green hair, but now that they see Granolah, there's no mistake. That's a Cerulean. It's the one who escaped before, the one that was a kid. They can't even process all this, and as they're thinking through it, Goku and Granolah easily defeat the Heaters, not even giving Alek or Gas a chance to counterattack. They didn't even realize, after all this time, they once again encounter that Cerulean who escaped and the son of the Saiyan who fought them before. And the two brothers are confused. Who were those schmucks? And why were they looking for the Dragon Ball radar? They call up their contact at the Galactic Patrol, Tarble, who gladly comes by to arrest them. And Tarble jokes, they kind of forgot about these guys, the Heaters. Apparently they were involved with Frieza a while back too. Interesting. Goku and Granolah don't even realize the significance of this, but they do find their relation to Frieza funny. It's come full circle. Still, even after all this time, they're defeating Frieza's lackeys. And without either of them knowing, they just had one of the shortest fateful battles of their life. To think that the actions of the Heaters could have changed the entire trajectory of both their lives, and they don't even realize it. Well, while Goku's here at Capsule Corp, Granolah asks, they should try and spar a bit. And Goku agrees, they've relaxed long enough. The two of them float up in the air, ready for another one of their many sparring matches. Goku assumes a battle stance, and Granolah motions towards him, with the two grinning the entire time. As they launch towards each other like they have many times before, this is where our story ends. So, what'd you guys think about this finale? And what'd you guys think about the series as a whole? Like I've said before, I think honestly this is my favorite that I've ever made on my channel, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. It's bittersweet to see it end, but I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm glad that it came this far and it seems that you guys enjoyed it as well. As usual though, leave any thoughts or suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think, and be sure to drop a like on the video as well. It lets me know you want to see more videos like this, and it really does help out the channel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to be notified about any future uploads on my channel, including more series like this one or just any other videos that I upload. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting the scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.